Hello, all guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the newest episode of the Noobs and Knockouts Podcast, brought to you on YouTube, on Spotify, on Google, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Austin. I'm a knockout. Watched a lot of wrestling.
I'm David. I'm a noob. Haven't watched nearly as much wrestling. And great Scott! I feel like we fucking traveled through time with this arc, Austin. I feel like I've been sent on a proper journey through the past of what it was like, the awful, desolate wasteland, Austin. The awful, historical, desolate wasteland of the VCR era. I now understand what it's like all the way ye back 40 years ago. Fucking trudging through, I guess 30 to 40, trudging through these bullshit ass DVDs just in the blind hope that you could get something that you wanted. Oh.
Could you imagine going to your local video rental store and you see a new WWF tape in the new section, in the new shelf? Oh. And it's fucking Paul Bearer's Matches from the Crypt.
I turn it on. Oh, yes! I'm going to show you wrestling matches that have absolutely nothing to do with my theming and aren't really that good. Oh, Austin, we went on a harrowing chrono fueled journey with this arc, and I now that we're at the end point, I feel a changed man. I'm not sure how, but I feel something in me has I don't know, I suppose has a greater appreciation for those dark days of yesteryear.
I really think we managed to hit the highs and the lows of the Coliseum home video experience, and I didn't even intend for that.
We peaked with episode 1, Austin.
I still think that the World Tour was the best episode yet.
I solidly place it our second best. For me, bleepers, bloops, and body slams are is the best one. And we continue saying it wrong to this day, and I refuse to ever say it correctly.
I'm sure I'm sure I might say it accidentally right. But for this episode, on our final one, I've saved the best for last, or tried to, as like in doing research for this arc, I just Googled best Coliseum home videos, and
the height of academic research,
of course. And after combing through various blog posts and forum websites,
oh no,
well, there's not a lot of rigorous study into the idea. All right.
No, not having to trudge through blog posts. No.
How many? I had to read multiple blog listicles in order to get a really good sense of the best here.
Okay. Please share with us, dear co-host, what the enlightened academics of the WordPress days have had to say.
And the enlightened academics of WordPress, pretty much, this one we're watching tonight was almost universally at the top or near the top.
Okay.
Like, everyone put Smack'em Whack'em tonight's videotape as a top video review. I personally don't like making too many references to other bigger internet wrestling personalities, but to emphasize my point about how, like, this is the Coliseum videotape, OSW Review did a review of this tape during their New Generation arc.
Oh my god. Wow, we're digging up the diamonds from the rough, huh?
We are, and it's kind of held together by two historic moments in time.
Okay.
As this features two previously never released, and to my knowledge has never been re-released in any other format up to this point, to my knowledge, two essential Bret Hart matches. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels in the true first ladder match of the WWF, and the house show match in Saskatoon. Saskatchewan.
I was gonna say, wait, hold up.
Other Saskatchewan thing. There's too many of them.
There's too many. Two is too many.
In Saskatchewan, where Bret Hart defeated Ric Flair to become WWF champion for the first time.
Wow. I still can't believe neither of that shit got, like, televised. You had to...
House shows, motherfucker!
But, like, why the fuck was a title change happening on a house show?
Well, this happened in 1992. So
okay.
we are still in the last dying days of house shows being significant.
Yeah.
This won't even be the last time a title change hands on a house, the WWE title change hands on the house show, but it will be one of the last.
Okay. Because I guess, like, this is still in the landscape when they fucking, like, didn't fully grasp just how big a market TV was for them.
92 was still, their weekly TV shows are still like squash,
the secondary product.
It is there to be as much an advertisement to come to a live show as it is to be telling
and
a story
to buy the
right.
pay-per-views. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But Austin, I find myself confronted with a deep existential question. Why the fuck is this called Whack'em Smack'em, and why do I feel dirty every time the title is spoken aloud?
Smack'em, whack'em, stack'em, fuck'em.
You know the drill. Oh, I didn't realize it was one of those kinds of tapes. Oh, you dog. We truly are hitting all of the
we haven't watched enough porn on this podcast, having only done
damn.
For WrestleLicious. Let's go back.
It's been far. Yeah, what we got to watch some WrestleLicious, which was, some good softcore. We got to see a little bit of classy golden age BDSM porn with Tommy Dreamer being made to kiss woman's feet or whatever, and being like whipped over and over again. I don't know. It was really kinky. That's what I thought, Austin, of damn, I miss the times we watched porn on this show. Let's do it some more.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. What we're all about.
Smack'em Whack'em is a reference to I will just say it is a reference to the framing device of the tape.
I see.
I will not make any more references to such a thing, because why spoil the surprise?
I see. Where the framing device. Obviously, this is going to be viewed through the lens of the prototype for Dana White's slap fight or whatever the fuck.
No, I think this is way more entertaining.
Smack 'em, whack 'em.
But yes, Smack 'em, whack 'em. There are other matches on this tape besides two Bret Hart classics.
Probably don't matter much, but
I don't expect it to. But the Bret Hart matches are like, this is why everyone is like, if you're gonna watch a Coliseum video, watch Smack 'em, whack 'em.
I do love me some Bret. Bret does make me quite happy. I'm pretty sure he's somewhere on my top 10 wrestlers list.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also about the ladder match thing is basically it was a test run to like see if ladder matches could work in the WWF. That's a weird thing to say, but like basically before 94, they weren't doing ladder matches in the WWE. The first one that was televised was Razor and Shawn at WrestleMania 10.
Yeah.
But it was but like Vince wanted a proof of concept. I believe Bret was kind of looking at it as like, this is a big match we did all the time in Calgary.
Yeah, I was going to say
really liked.
This was something done on the indies prior to this, right?
In other territories, yeah, I don't know where else, but I know Bret was coming at it from the perspective of Calgary
Yeah.
did a lot of ladder matches.
It's not like TLC where Edge like personally pioneered it or whatever.
Where they invented the match whole cloth.
Yeah.
It was like this existed elsewhere, but Vince wasn't sure about it. So he wanted Bret and Shawn to go out there and have a ladder match with, which I guess the theory was like, if I don't like Bret versus Shawn in a ladder match, then I'm not going to like a ladder match. So
that's a fair assessment. I do appreciate just like how resistant historically Vince has been to what have ended up being some of his like best calls. And then all the shit that he's like super impulsively into is a lot of the like dumbest shit. Like I watched a whole fucking video about a bunch of wrestlers that Vince was very not sold on at first, and it was just so many like banger favorite wrestler, banger favorite wrestler, banger favorite wrestler, and it's like, and Vince had to be talked into like all of them. Man,
it's Vince has always been someone a little bit resistant to ideas that aren't his own. What
we have to really trick him into thinking that this one came from him to get it over.
Except for Hulk Hogan, I guess. I guess he kind of was happy to kind of more or less ape what the AWA was doing with Hulk Hogan, and just put it on a bigger scale.
Yeah, well.
Okay, I'll say it like this. When Vince has been in a position of power over other wrestling, in a relative strength within the industry, he has been more resistant to ideas that aren't his.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and ideas that don't fit his like exact perfect like idealized vacuum world of wrestling. His little box.
Yeah, so Bret and Shawn wrestled in '93 in an Intercontinental Championship match in a ladder match just to kind of see how it would go. And obviously went well because then ladder matches became a staple of WWE programming. So, you know.
Hell yeah, brother. I'm excited. Yeah. I am excited for those bits.
Mm-hmm. So this tape was released in February of '94, by the way. I don't know if that's, you know, super helpful or anything. But the wrestling the Peacock description had only mentioned some other stuff that is not related to wrestling matches. So I'll go ahead and read that off for you. Ooh. Yokozuna gives some insight into his unique diet.
Oh no.
You see, I feel like I have actually seen this skit before, but I feel like you could probably guess what the skit is going to be like. Because he is Japanese and fat.
Fat and Japanese.
Yeah. So.
Oh no.
Can't for that. And then the Bushwhackers do some remodeling. Okay.
Oh god, this one has skits on it. Oh man, they're multiple skits. Oh no.
So okay, I guess we've had Yokozuna on the pod. We've done Yokozuna before on this podcast.
Yeah.
So
he's big in Japanese and has a big ass.
He is a fake sumo wrestler. He pretends to be a Japanese sumo wrestler, but he is very much Samoan. Yes. And has never competed in sumo ever.
Wow. No way. What a shock.
But the Bushwhackers, that's an interesting tag team there. Basically, they had a pretty lengthy and successful career in New Zealand. They are New Zealanders. They are Kiwis, as they say. Yummy. And they had a really successful career in New Zealand and in Memphis as the new sheep herders. Basically just two crazy, violent guys.
As opposed to the old sheep herders.
I mean, I don't know anything about what the original sheep herders were like, but they put the new in front of them. The new sheep herders.
Yes.
Super violent, I've heard. I've never watched any of their stuff from that era, but I've always heard it was like really hardcore shit. But then they come to the WWF and they are turned into the Bushwhackers, which is the complete opposite of what I just described the sheep herders to be. They are now complete silly comedy characters. They are goofy Kiwis who lick people's Kiwi-looking hicks who who lick people's heads and do a funny march where they raise their arms back and up and down.
They've got funny accents. We must make the people laugh at them.
We have seen. I don't know if we've watched the Bushwhackers on this podcast. I don't think we've ever been in the correct era to have Bushwhackers, but we did in the TNA Christmas special. Bushwhacker Luke appeared in that as a cameo as Eric Young's uncle.
Yeah, no, we've seen them come up a couple times. We've at least seen them do like interview segments before, I'm pretty sure.
We might have gotten a Bushwhacker interview when we did that one when we did the wedding thing with Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think I remember Elizabeth being there.
Because they were very much a late 80s to early 90s WWF, and that is not ground that we have spent much time in.
Man,
so
it's so speaking of Vince and his ideas, it's so fucking like him to take this great indie act and just like grind it through his mold until it comes out incomprehensible on the other end.
To be fair, I feel like they would probably tell you they appreciated the easier workload that comes with being comedy dorks.
Yeah, that's probably fair as like workers, but like what does that do to your long-term like viability as a talent? Like, did their careers just fucking die after their time in the Fed, or did they get to go back to the Indies? Or
I mean, by that point, they were pretty old by the time they left the WWF, and I mean,
okay.
I guess, I mean, you could, I mean, you're obviously going to make the argument that like this is what they're known for, is being the Bushwhackers. Very few people remember the Sheep Herders.
It's fine to be known as like comedy wrestlers. Like I'm sure once he's retired, Danhausen will happily lean back and take pride in how he got the people to laugh. It's more just like, I just always hate seeing people whose like, I don't know, reps get kind of destroyed by the dumb ideas they get pushed with.
I think it helps that most people would not know about the Sheep Herders. You'd have to be, one of the people who reads Dave Meltzer in 1988 to like know that this is the Sheep Herders and like, look how you've massacred my boy.
Meltzer, look how they massacred my sheep herder.
The Sheep Herders actually did get a 5-star match in the Observer.
What? Wait, that's sick.
Yeah, let's see. Observer. I'm gonna have to look up the specific match, but I know they have one. I know when they were the Sheep Herders. I just don't remember the specifics.
That's awesome though. Fuck.
List of professional wrestling matches rated 5-star or more by Dave Meltzer. And this is actually a very big deal, as he, before the 2010s, was much more stingy about giving out 5-star ratings.
And he gave to like random New Zealand indie guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, so here's a random bit of trivia here. The Sheep Herders were the 9th ever 5-star, had the 9th ever 5-star match. And if you want an idea of like it, don't let anybody ever tell you that Dave Meltzer was ever not a Japan mark, because the Sheep Herders versus the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers, taking place in Jim Crockett Promotions during the Crockett Cup.
Oh shit.
Very much a Southern America. JCP is legit.
Whoa.
That is the 3rd match that had ever got a 5-star match outside of Japan. If you want, I will go ahead and give a quick rundown of this now that I have this list up, and it's fascinating. The first ever 5-star match was Ric Flair versus Butch Reed in Championship Wrestling from Florida, a very big territory, a pretty strong territory back in its heyday.
Florida, man, always Florida.
It was CWF was built around a lot of times Flair and Dusty Rhodes was two big names of championship wrestling in Florida. Then in 83, you have Dynamite Kid versus Tiger Mask in New Japan. That's a legendary match. I think I've watched that before. 1984, we get the first year we have multiple 5-star matches as Kuzo Yamazaki versus Nobuhiko Takada in UWF, the United Wrestling Federation, the Universal Wrestling Federation in Japan. There's like 3 different UWFs. That's the Japanese one.
Yeah.
Then you also got Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen versus Dory Funk Jr. and Terry Funk in All Japan Pro Wrestling. In 85, Dory Funk, Terry's brother.
Well, shit.
Before Terry Funk, became a solo star in his own right, he was also a tag team star with his brother Dory.
Well, poor Dory, not having nearly as famous a name these days.
In 85, we had Kunaki Kobayashi versus Tiger Mask in All Japan. And then the very first women's 5-star match in 85 is the Lioness Asuka versus Jaguar Yokota in All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling. Then in 86, Jumbo Tsuruta and Kinjiniku Tenryu versus Riki Choshu and Yoshiaki Yatsu. A lot of legendary Japanese wrestlers in there. In All Japan, then in 86, we also had Ric Flair versus Barry Windham in Championship Wrestling from Florida. And then here we are. In April 19th, 1986, the Fantastics versus the Sheep Herders in Jim Crockett Promotions.
Yo, that man, fucking the rating history is so well, fucking congrats to the Sheep Herders. Well earned. I'm glad they got their due as serious wrestlers before they went to be silly comedy boys for
Vince. Now that I'm here for this, honestly, I kind of want to do some statistical breakdown for you. So in the 1980s, Meltzer rated 24 matches 5 stars. In the 1990s, Meltzer rated 65 matches 5 stars. All Japan and New Japan were absolutely having between like All Japan Pro Wrestling, all the women's wrestling, the Joshi, the All Japan women's wrestling scene, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. They were cooking over there in the 90s. So, a lot of 5-star matches. In the 2000s, Meltzer rated 7 matches 5 stars.
Wow. Truly the darkest
He was
time.
getting real stingy on that one.
Meltzer is like, what the fuck is this in the 2000s?
Mm-hmm. Then in the 2010s, there were 67 5-star matches or higher. At this point, he started breaking the 5-star scale and having matches be higher than 5 stars.
It didn't I'm surprised it didn't start happening till the 2010s because I know he broke it in the other direction for fucking Hulk versus Andre.
Oh yeah, he gives out negative stars.
5 stars, yeah.
But the Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom 11 was 6 stars, the first higher than 5-star match. That was a match that I heard about that and was like, I have to go out of my way to check this out. I'm here at 6. I gotta watch the 6-star match.
Yo, I bet that was
that guy.
Banger. I bet that was so sick.
Mm-hmm. Then in the 2020s so far, he has given out 57 5-star or greater matches.
It's just we're just in the peak era, Austin. This is truly the best timeline.
Fun WWE related fact, because I just wanted to throw this out there, is that CM Punk versus John Cena is only the 5th WWE 5-star match of all time at the time when he gave that.
Wow.
And it was the first 5-star match he gave WWE since 1997.
Wow. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little surprised. I feel like there's got to be other matches between those 2 years that rate up there, but
Could be. I think the most interesting, and I guess before we move, I know we have completely derailed to talking about
yes.
Dave Meltzer's 5-star rating system here.
Hey,
But
I'm here for it.
I like this. I don't get a lot of chance to talk about this. Interestingly, is the fact that Daniel Bryan, despite winning the Technical Wrestler of the Year award like 7 years straight, to the fact that they renamed the Observer Award the Brian Danielson Award specifically.
See, I thought that was a joke but no, it's legit.
Yeah, he won it so many times, Meltzer just renamed it.
Oh my god.
Daniel Bryan didn't have a 5-star rated match until I think he did it when he fought Hangman. Either him or his Kenny match. Yes, his match with Kenny Omega in AEW in 2021 was the first match that was ever rated 5 stars of Brian Danielson's by Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, I know. What the fuck? Because I know him versus MJF got what, 5 3/4? Didn't it break the scale?
Yes, 5.75.
5.75. So like, and yeah, that was only BD's fucking second or third one.
Yeah, because he got a 5-star one with Hangman too. So
yeah,
it's his third.
Yeah, dude, that's so wild that it took him until that moment.
I didn't realize that Blood and Guts was given 5 stars.
Was it? I thought it wasn't.
No, I mean unless. Oh, my bad. This is Double or Nothing. So the Anarchy got 5.
Yeah. See,
my mistake.
My humble opinion, Blood and Guts should have gotten 5 stars. You know, maybe I'm a little biased there. I think.
Yeah, I wonder why that might be.
I wonder. Like, I get it. I guess I get it because of the ending, the way that match ended. I get why that would not lead to it being 5 stars. Like, it would have been 5 stars if fucking Eddie had gotten the tap out from Jericho. That would have been the 5-star moment. But still, fucking damn. That's I remember seeing that it wasn't 5 stars and being big sad. But yeah. Oh, the rating system. Fun. Wild stuff. There's always so much discord.
You know, last thing, I swear this time, but there is a list of the promotions with the most 5 or higher star matches. And what an interesting discrepancy this is. So there are 5 companies that have more than 10 5-star matches. Number 5, WWE at 16.
Oh.
Tied for third is All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling at 19.
AJPW.
Tied with it is AEW at 19.
Oh
and
my.
And then here's a jump for you. All Japan Pro Wrestling has 35.
Jeez. And then New Japan sitting outside the Tokyo
Take a guess how many New Japan matches he's rated at 5 stars. Take a guess.
I'm gonna say 69. Nice.
Nice, but higher. 81.
What? Oh my god, Meltzer
fucking loves New Japan.
I know, he's such a fucking mark, dude. Like, everyone loves to do the discourse about Meltzer's so mean to WWE, and you know what? Maybe even I can concede a little bit. The fact that between 1997 and 2011, nothing got 5 stars from him is probably a little hyperbolic on his part, But the real discourse is that Meltzer comes a little every time he sees anything out of the Tokyo Dome. Okay, fuck.
Yeah, crazy. All right, just want to this has been a fun diversion.
Yeah,
to make up for the fact that I have little else to say about this.
No, I like it. I like it. It's fun throwing in these little tidbits.
Yeah. So. We are, anyway, sheep herders. Now they're the Bushwhackers. And they are apparently doing some remodeling. Whatever that means.
Great.
And this tape is hosted by Lord Alfred Hayes.
Yay! Early British daddy.
Yes. I am excited to see him be extremely flustered at the weird wrestlers that are out there in this doing weird stuff.
Oh, I say, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
stoically flustered. He can't show too much emotion. Then I think he loses his British card if he does.
Yeah, so the matches on this show outside of the Bret matches are kind of like that like transitional era from golden age to new gen.
Yeah.
In terms of like who's wrestling and how we're doing here. So fascinating
and how much we actually like lean on TV as a legitimate extension of our brand.
Hey man, Raw's almost here. We almost have Raw.
We're about to start raw dogging it.
Uncut, uncensored, and uncooked.
Oh, amazing.
We have to watch one of those early Raws on this show.
I bet they're unhinged in just the stupidest way.
A little bit. Got to get the Rob Bartlett episodes of Raw. Let's go.
Who the fuck is Rob Bartlett?
He's a local New York comedian who they got to do guests. They got to do color commentary for the first 10 episodes of Raw.
Oh, that'll be great.
It was very, as having watched all the episodes he's on, it feels very much like a poor man's Will Sasso. And honestly, that already could be construed as not a high bar.
It's a real backhanded compliment you're giving there, buddy. Jesus.
Yeah. But I don't want to shit on Rob too much because he's a super cool dude in IRL, and he's like, and he has positive things to say about, getting to fuck around in the WWF. He recognizes that most people do not, in fact, like him doing pop culture bits on commentary. But
we appreciate a self-aware king on the new.
He's aware, and he's fun.
That does get you a lot of bonus points.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, smack 'em, whack 'em.
Oh yes. Oh boy.
If you would like to watch along with us, Peacock. We have been going through this journey of Coliseum videos available on Peacock, NBC Universal's streaming service and WWE streaming partner.
It's the most random shit to make available on Peacock, but man, it's made our lives easier.
Again, thank God that they started putting this shit on the network before they went to Peacock.
Yup.
Because if they didn't,
it wouldn't have made
never have touched it.
Not remotely. That shit would have died.
Like there's no real incentive or reason for them to like continue to work through the smaller shows, the smaller stuff that are in their archives. Unlike what it was like with the network, where we got to get these hardcore wrestling fans to keep buying into our shit.
Yep.
Every month. But it's a shame that they've stopped. They've pretty much effectively stopped putting up new stuff on Peacock.
Yeah, I know. There's so much more they could preserve, but that's not the fucking model that Peacock wants to follow.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, now that we've done being depressed about the state of streaming media today.
Oh, hey. We're here to whack him and smack him, hey.
Yeah, fun, wholesome 90s WWF entertainment. And we'll be back in the back half to discuss Smack 'em and Whack 'em.
Oh, boy.
And we are back. We have finished WWF Smack 'em, Whack 'em.
There was a lot less masturbation in that than I thought there would be. I'm sorry. I can't hear that title.
We have smacked it. We have whacked it here.
Better face for smacking it than San Diego. Smacking it, whacking it, smacking
whacking it, whacking it, whacking it, whacking it, whacking it.
Jacking for the Lord. And clearly I'm not the only person who is weirded out by this title, because as soon as we fucking open this thing, we see Lord Alfred Hayes saying, "Welcome to the WWF Smack'em Whack'em," with the same fucking tone as an 80-year-old saying TikTok. So,
Lord,
clearly everybody's a little weirded out by this title, except most likely Vince, who was like,
I absolutely want to hear who came up with this title, and by
Vince.
that I mean Vince McMahon. And why in particular he thought this was funny.
I don't understand. The secret, Austin, was not revealed to me. I feel no insights into the universe.
Yeah, I'm just left confused.
Me too.
So we open this little tape with Lord Alfred Hayes in a dilapidated house.
Yes.
It's like, all right.
Okay.
Sure.
That's a hell of an opener.
And so Lord Alfred is hyping up how, we're going to see the never before seen WWF title win by Bret Hart. And he also
way to spoil it, by the way, Al.
The entire tape was been very upfront, being like, guys, this is when Bret wins the title.
Did we know already that Bret had the title by this point?
I mean, yes, he won it in September of '92, and this tape came out in February '93. So, it's been known that he had the title.
I just still can't believe that's not something you would televise.
Nah, man.
So bizarre.
Fuck Saskatchewan. They're not. Saskatoon is not getting a goddamn.
Yeah, this
episode.
Was Saskatoon.
I was right.
You were
accidentally.
Yes.
I did not necessarily mean to say Saskatoon when I was meant for Saskatchewan, but it is in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Lord Alfred also fucking talks about how we are going to see Yokozuna, a feature from Yokozuna on, as he put it, cooking for the single man, which
I am ready to talk about that.
Yes, I am too, but also cooking for the single man, I find it extremely hard to believe that Yokozuna was not drowning in bitches. I find that extremely hard to believe.
It definitely sounds more like romantic in context than it is.
I know. Oh, I want to talk about that when we get to it too, because the expectation I was primed for was vastly different than the actual what that actually turned out to be.
And okay, for reasons that again the name of this show does not adequately explain.
Nope.
Lord Alfred Hayes is like, why are we in this house? Well, it's because we're bringing in some people to do some home improvements, and they're bringing in the Bushwhackers.
Man, if this were a different era, Tim Allen would totally be making a cameo appearance for this home improvement framing device.
I would like to believe that Tim Allen has more dignity than to be in a Coliseum home video. I said I'd like to believe. All right.
Yeah.
I said believe.
You keep on believing that. Yes, we are. But fuck. Name this episode Coliseum home video bringing down the house. But bada bing, all of a sudden everything. Why the fuck is this called Whack 'em Smack 'em?
That's a good question that I don't have an answer. But okay, the Bushwhackers, they come in
and immediately I see them fucking trudging in like this, and I'm immediately like, these men had the 9th ever 5-star match in the history of WON. What are we doing here?
And oh, hey, how are you lordship?
They
do not ever stop making noise.
I
have never had to sit through 10 minutes of Bushwhacker content to realize this, but they never shut up.
I have vague recollections of promos we've seen from them, and I remember them being very noisy gentlemen, but oh man, I did not realize just how fucking persistent it was.
Promo. Okay, that's fine. 10, they never stop. If they're not talking, they're just kind of rambling, noising.
They must have been chugging water. I hope they chugged a lot of water to keep their voices intact, because I don't know how the fuck you keep that up for such a prolonged period of time. It's gotta be right, just because Vince is just fascinated with their accent, so he tells them, no, just talk as much as you can. I can't get enough of it.
100%. He's got to be
100%.
It's funny. It's funny that the weird men with the weird accents just don't shut up.
Yes,
that's the humor here.
Literally, that's gotta be the joke.
But Butch, who I want to give credit to myself for correctly guessing which Bushwhacker was talking first.
Yeah, I
And
had to Google it. I'm not gonna lie.
I was like, Butch, and then I was proven correct. But Butch has claims that the Bushwhackers, who, again, I want to reemphasize this, are pro wrestlers whose gimmick is they're like weirdos from the New Zealand outback.
Yes.
These two men have been hired by the biggest construction firm in America to make this house into a wreck house, whatever that means.
I'm not even going to question any of this lore. It's too brain.
The Bushwhackers have decided this will be the Bushwhackers Wreck-It Room. And I'm like, what is happening here?
Do they get ownership too when they make the improvements? Is that how this works? And if so, why are they getting hired by somebody to do this? Does that person get a cut of whatever this turns? What does any of this mean?
I don't think I can trust the biggest construction firm in America if they're like, these two dudes. These are they are going to be the ones to fix up this house.
They got a 5-star rating in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. I mean, not just anyone can do that. They must be good at everything.
Of course.
That's the only.
As it's well known that 5-star ratings by Dave Meltzer are a good indicator of architectural ability.
Obviously, that's what they're getting 5 stars for. They built a great match.
If you can build a match, you can build a house.
True. Fucking true. That's what I'm always saying. I'm pretty sure, what was his name? The guy who did Falling Water. I'm pretty sure that was his motto.
I don't know who you're talking about, so I can't.
Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright. I'm pretty sure famed architect Frank Lloyd Wright said that. I think that's a quote from him, actually.
All right, so Alfred Hayes is like, so what's the first step? And I didn't realize this was going to be a bit. As Butch says, well, safety has to be number one.
Yes.
The first step is always safety. So the Bushwhackers are like, we got to make sure Lord Alfred is safe. So Luke grabs a helmet. And Alfred is just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean
Alfred thought
he could
be the supervisor. Well, except this doesn't make sense, because even if you were just standing around supervising, you definitely should have some fucking protective gear on. The Bushwhackers here are actually, the Bushwhackers say we need to comply with OSHA.
Oh, they are 100% correct with that. But also, I was going to say, does Lord Alfred Hayes doesn't seem like the type of person who knows much about the home improvement construction process?
Well, yes. Which makes it very funny, because they put like the hard hat on him. They start to put the goggles on, realize
and they can't get it over the hard hat, so they got to take the hat off and then put the goggles on.
And I have to say, because Lord Alfred Hayes, of course, in like a full suit to present, as he always is. It's not like a fucking full ass tuxedo like he wore on the train episode.
Right, but he's wearing a suit in his shitty house.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, with the hat and the goggles on him, it kind of made him, alongside the suit, made him kind of look like a supreme corporate douchebag. Like, he's one of those assholes from corporate who's here to, like, check on the project, see how it's going.
Oh, yeah,
So, like, he does look the part in that respect.
Yeah. And then they put a tool belt over top of his suit jacket. I thought that was kind of funny. But then best part of this bit is now Alfred's like, now hold on, guys. I mean, I don't want to get my hands dirty here. And Butch's like, you're right. Don't we worry about that, because we got some great gloves for you.
This doesn't say we have Bushwhacker glove. They keep branding everything as Bushwhacker product. Like, we got some Bushwhacker gloves for you. Or we got a nice Bushwhacker hard hat. Like, why is everything bush? Do you guys have a fucking construction surplus business too that we don't know about? Maybe they do have some kind of prominence in this industry, and none of us has ever knew about it.
And then suddenly Butch has a sledgehammer in his hand.
Where did he get that? No, oh no. Why did anybody let him have
Triple H is about to sue somebody.
True.
If only he wasn't Jean-Paul Levesque.
I have a thing to say about lawsuits later on in this episode.
All right. So they're about to getting ready to line up to hit the wall as we to go take out a wall as we move on to the first match of the show. And what a hot start we have for this
baby.
tape.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
the Berserker versus Crush.
Yeah, the
Okay.
fucking Viking guy?
Yeah, the Berserk, if you don't know, the Berserker is basically if you think of a Viking, but a Viking in a cheap community theater production,
True!
then you get the Berserker.
You get oh my god, that costume is so shitty. It
And-
was clearly in the community theater analogy, this is a guy who was cast just because he had a big beard. And
they're like, we need you to be the Viking.
Yes, and also
like,
we have a shitty costume. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, and Crush is again a Shaka Bra, but he is still a good Shaka Bra. He is not a bad Shaka Bra yet.
Yes, he's also a white Shaka Bra from Hawaii.
Yep.
We got a whole bunch of Samoans, we got a whole bunch of Islanders, but no, we gotta have the guy who's hailed as being from Hawaii be a white dude.
Yeah, speaking of descent, is that Lord Alfred Hayes goes on about how the Berserker has legitimate Norwegian descent, to which I could not confirm online.
Well, oh, no.
I tried, but, it's tough.
Yeah, well, because Lord Alfred Hayes proceeds to try to claim that, he speaks Norwegian, and he can yada, yada, yada.
Is that what that random nonsense he was saying whole match was? Was that Norwegian?
So yeah, that's the thing. Is Lord Alfred Hayes claims that this man speaks fluent Norwegian and shit. And I already was pressing X to doubt on that one. Again, we just hired the guy with the big enough beard to look like a convincing Viking. But the Berserker has this thing where throughout the entire match, he yells the word "Huss."
I'm glad you also thought he said Huss, because that's how I wrote it. Was
Huss?
No,
I think so.
Huss.
Because Gorilla Monsoon's on commentary with Alfred Hayes, and after Alfred says the thing about the Berserker speaks fluent Norwegian, Gorilla's like, I still don't know what Huss means, and Lord Alfred's like, haha, no do I. And they just roll with that. You know what? Let's fucking look this up. What happens if I just look up Norwegian Huss?
I now also want to look this up and see what happens.
Huss. Huss means house in Norwegian. Hus means house.
House.
Oh, wow! Maybe that's why they fucking picked.
There's no fucking way that they knew.
Damn, they should have brought the Berserker in to that fucking house construction project.
There's no way. If they brought the Berserker in, that would be the best clever joke that the WWF has ever done.
That would be hilarious, but also I don't think anybody what is this? Artist's house. Yeah, does Huss mean anything in Norwegian? What?
I don't know. He's just making noise. I don't know.
Yeah, Huss looks like it means house in Norwegian. So he's just yelling house over and over again.
Yeah, so this match, I did take notes on it, but it was honestly a very boring big man match.
Yeah. Okay. Lord Alfred, man, the attempts to put people over in this one are weird. Lord Alfred tries to lie directly to our faces by saying the Berserker is one of his favorites, which no, the fuck he isn't. Stop saying that. X. Huge X. Crush, there's this weird thing in this match where, so Crush seems barely activated this entire time.
Okay.
And
I feel like I know what you're about to say, and I have notes on this.
And in contrast, the Berserker is a cartoony buffoon about everything. He feels very much of the Golden Age. There's this bit where the Berserker tries to body slam Crush, and Crush just no sells it for no reason at the beginning of the match. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. And that's kind of the entire match is Berserker tries to pull some shit. He sometimes succeeds, but then Crush just kind of like extremely nonchalantly does shit to to get back, to try to take control of the match back essentially. And the Berserker, his response to this is kind of like, it's very Looney Tunes, like sphere of Crush. Like, it feels like they're trying to sell Crush as like this big, freaky, mega powerful dude. So much so that like the Berserker can be trying to execute a move on him, but if Crush looks like he's gonna like actually withstand it at all, the Berserker just kind of like stops short of doing the thing. And I don't know. It's just,
yeah, all right.
This
leads into the thing the story commentary is trying to tell in this match, which is like,
yes.
What a burial of the Berserker this conversation is. So they're trying to sell this idea that like the Berserker like is an actual badass, but like 3/4 of the way through him doing anything, he just kind of loses concentration and just kind of lets his mind wander.
This isn't the point they make toward the end of the match. But yeah, Lord Alfred literally says, it appears as though the Berserker gets 3/4 of the job done, then just goes bananas. You might even say he's going berserk. But like, but yeah, like, I don't. Like, this was such a fucking slow paced match. Berserker was like doing shit and then just kind of
stops.
Yeah, he's an idiot. And Crush Crush was a fucking like stagnant statue throughout this whole thing. I can't think of a single fucking thing he did. He was like lethargic.
At one point, Gorilla Monsoon says on commentary, sometimes Berserker seems to have no direction. I'm like, you damn right, brother.
You damn right.
No direction.
He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, apparently he also got fired by Fuji and for not listening to him, and I laughed at that.
What the fuck is this whole he used to work with Fuji but not anymore? Like, is the Berserker turning face by going away from Fuji, or like?
No, he is just an idiot. He's still
literally they broke him up from Fuji because the character was so fucking stupid they couldn't justify
They're like,
being like Fuji.
They were like, listen, Fuji, we got you doing a big thing with Yokozuna, and we can't have you working with this stupid clown.
Yeah, because like Fuji reads is like really like discerning and exacting and like, you know, competent, which the Berserker
and that says so with a lot of the people he's managed. Demolition, the Oriental Express, Yokozuna, guys who are portrayed as pretty serious dangers, whether you think their gimmick is stupid or not. But Berserker is just an idiot.
Yeah, so that's a weird fucking angle for them to go with. Also, commentary, God, Lord Alfred and Gorilla Monsoon together on commentary. Those are two guys who they're like kids in a classroom who definitely should not sit next to each other because they don't give a fuck.
Man, I feel like we've watched so many of these tapes, and it feels like commentary across all of them just does not give a shit about what they're doing.
A singular fucking fuck. Fucking they start talking about how Lord Alfred wants Gorilla Monsoon to take him on a cute date to the Liberty Bell. They got talking about like American monuments, and they like Alfred got mixed up about what.
I missed some of the context of that.
I can't remember the full context. They were talking about like some American landmarks and wherever they were for this match. Like Lord Alfred thought the Liberty Bell was there, but it was actually like something else he was thinking of. And Gorilla, you know, he talks about how, you know, he's been to the Liberty Bell before, and Alfred's like, you'll have to take me there sometime. And so yeah, Lord Alfred wants Gorilla Monsoon to take him on a cute date to the Liberty Bell. And off of that conversation, Gorilla makes some quip essentially about how like, yeah, those fucking like the what the Liberty Bell stands for in the historical context of the American Revolution. And he basically says something that amounts to like, you You English pigsty deserve no dignity for trying to subjugate almighty America. And Lord Alfred's only response is like, pip, pip, jolly ho indeed. Like,
yeah, Lord Al still got to be the cutesy little British guy here.
yeah, like fucking Gorilla Monsoon just says something like, basically just shits on England for a second for, cracking the Liberty Bell or whatever. And Lord Alfred just gives no pushback. He's like, ah, yes, go America. USA.
Yeah, so
oh my god.
Berserker apparently needs Adderall or whatever
I guess.
medication you take.
Yeah,
for
man, it's so hard.
concentration.
It's so hard to get your hands on medication. Clearly, he's got a bit of a tick too with that whole Huss thing. I just hope he got the help that he needed.
Yeah, I mean, the WWF locker room in the 90s, was very much a drug-free place.
A drug-free environment, as we all know, as we are famously
drug-free environment, the WWF locker room.
Everybody's straight edge around these parts, sir. Wholesome Christian locker room.
I think the most fascinating thing I saw in the match was Crush kicks Berserker in the back of his thigh, and Berserker does a split.
Ha! Fuck
like,
you, right? But it wasn't
right.
even a full split. Like, he went down on his knees or whatever. He couldn't even fully splay his legs out because Berserker can only do everything 3/4 of the way, I guess.
Hey, so then Crush
and the match,
the Skull Crusher. Which
yes.
Okay, this is so stupid. It is a submission move where you just like put your fists and drive.
No, it's not even your fists. It's like your hands. He fucking like.
Oh, he did a hand style.
It's full hand style. It's like you
grab. My God!
You grab the upper head and you
by
the
side
squeezing.
of their head and squeezes it. Which,
to be fair, if you were actually doing that, that would be probably pretty uncomfortable.
Okay, but here's the thing. How do you not get out of that? And this isn't even this isn't even the move I'm most offended by this concept with this idea in this tape. But how the fuck do you just get like your head pressed in and you just stand there and do nothing about it? And you just, I guess I'll die.
It's disorienting. Maybe? That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
Like,
wow, that's a fucking stupid.
Your feet are free.
Literally, it's just your head is being. Man, I knew something looked weird about that shit, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Anyone can escape it, obviously. Fuck.
Yeah.
That also, like, I love how, like, because Crush is still a face at this point, and he's very over for some reason.
He is more over than he should be for being a face, I'll tell you that.
And when he comes out, everyone's like mashing their like hands together like it's they're doing the head crush.
I think he did bits on TV where he would like squash things with his hands.
Yes. So people are doing like that. And once he does the submission on the Berserker, we cut to a bunch of kids who are doing the hand motion, and it just made me think of how many fucking kids like gave their classmates mild headaches on the playground
trying to do the skull crusher.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god, that's such a bad influence.
All right, so we are back in the house. The Bushwhackers put their protective safety gear on.
Yes, well, that was a tremendous start to smack 'em, whack 'em. No, it wasn't.
Was it, Al?
It was not.
So the Bushwhackers are like, they want to tear down this wall.
Also, I need to point out, after I praise them for being OSHA compliant in the last segment, but Bushwhacker Butch has managed to put his hat on, his hard hat on in just the wrongest way.
It falls off multiple times.
It's sideways and it falls off multiple times, and it just kind of like, I get the feeling like he over the course of the tape, he and Bushwhacker Luke just I think they just kind of broke their hats more and more in order to like make them look worse fits on their heads with every new fucking scene.
I mean, the safety thing is a bit, so
it is a whole bit. Yeah. At this point, like, and they're going up trying to like measure a window.
No, hold on. I gotta think before they do this measuring stupid shit. So he's got the sledgehammer. He's like, we're gonna knock down this wall because we want to make a window here in the Wreck-It house. Not only is this a room with plenty of windows already,
Mm-hmm.
In the shot of them standing in front of the wall talking about how they're going to tear this down so they can make a window, you can see a window in the shot.
Well, clearly their architectural expertise dictated that window was fucking stupid and they needed a new one.
Yeah, so
obviously.
I guess. So Butch is like about to smash this wall, and Luke is like, hold on. We gotta measure the wall. And so they run up to this wall and with tape measures, and they are allegedly measuring this wall, but
They are
it
just
feels like they're just randomly yelling out
they're
numbers.
unintelligibly gibbering this entire time.
They're like, I got 8, 4, 4, I got 12, 46, 46.
Property Brothers looks a lot different than I thought it would. You know, I've never actually watched Property Brothers, but this is not what I was expecting.
HGTV's standards are so low.
Man, you can just put you can put anything with a house on that channel and they'll just air it, can't you? God damn. I don't know why weren't we supposed to be watching wrestling, Austin? Why the fuck are you making us watch an HGTV show?
That's a good question because I hate this whole podcast clearly.
Obviously.
So Luke marks an X on the wall to show where they're supposed to hit the wall.
Yes.
And then Butch hits about 2 feet below.
Whoa, no, wait. Oh, yeah. And they're like, no, you did the math wrong. We need to fucking. Basically, they do a do your multiplication tables, kids bit.
And then, oh no, cousin Luke, I think we went a little low. But they're like, it's okay because then we got to squat down to look out the window. Hey, even the dog can see outside of this window now.
I missed that part. I missed that part. Yeah, all I remember is just them talking all of a sudden about how they need to do fucking multiplication. They turn to the camera like, remember, kids. These tables.
I got a thing about later about them giving out bad advice to children.
Yes.
But as they are just hammering the wall with a sledgehammer, we cut then to the second match, and I was like, oh no, it's the Repo Man.
The Repo Man.
Okay, so I have to explain the Repo Man to you all.
Please.
So the Repo Man is ostensibly what it sounds like. A guy who repossesses people's stuff when they can't make their payments on it, right? Except I don't think Vince McMahon knows what a Repo Man is.
Well, I thought it was supposed to be tongue in cheek because the entire time this man gets treated like he's really just a car thief.
That might be part of it. That probably is it. But he wears like a domino mask, and he's got like this creepy little trench coat.
Hamburglar ass.
He dresses like the Hamburglar, and he like looks like a little rat man. And then he's coming to repossess your shit, and he doesn't even repossess things that people owe money on.
I know.
He gets into a feud with the Macho Man, and where he repossesses Macho's hat, but Macho doesn't owe money on the hat.
What? That's a thing that happened. It's
like Macho Man's first feud on Monday Night Raw was him and the Repo Man.
What? Yeah, okay. Well, I do kind of have comments about that could tie into that. So, yeah. His opponent tonight is Earthquake. I guess he's trying to fucking repossess Earthquake's tectonic plates or something. Yeah, I don't
according to Gorilla Monsoon, the Repo Man beat Typhoon, which is something I refuse to believe and
a thing for some reason they spend this match painting him as like weirdly powerful.
I have so many notes related to the idea of the Repo Man hits moves and does well. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. Commentary tries to like break down his in-ring psychology in the weirdest way possible, like basically relating how he fights in ring to how he goes about stealing cars. I don't even remember. It was so unintelligible.
But yeah, the Repo Man. Okay, a bit that I thought was actually kind of funny in the beginning of this match is so he hits the earthquake like a few times, and then he turns around and goes, "Now I got him!" And immediately earthquake starts whooping his ass. And then a few minutes later, Repo Man has earthquake in like a headlock move, and he yells out, "Now I got him!" And immediately earthquake gets up from the move.
Okay, that's actually kind of charming.
Yeah, it was funny as fuck, but the Repo Man just like he takes earthquake down. Earthquake is because as you think for his name, he's like 400 pounds.
He's a big
dude.
And when people go up against him, they struggle to do anything with him.
Yeah, and he is out here like just getting his ass kicked by some twink in a domino match. This is what's going on here.
Yeah. And like at one point, Earthquake gets Repo Man in the corner and is like chopping him or something. And commentary's like, we don't normally see this kind of punishment given to the Repo Man. What does he tend to not get hit? Does he he does well? This is not just some comedy jobber?
Not in 92, it's not.
Yeah. So Repo Man is putting up a decent fight against the Earthquake somehow. Commentary could not give less of a shit. They spend a couple minutes ruminating on the type of life that a cameraman must lead. Hayes and Gorilla could not care less. They could not give less of a shit.
Right.
And fucking after like 5 minutes, Earthquake manages to regain control. He gets the Repo Man down. He starts stomping. Man, what a time this was. You could have like a shitty 5-minute match that is bad and poorly paced and does not do anybody in the match any favors, but like the audience will go fucking nuclear when the face does their finish, because like Earthquake starts stomping around and the audience loses its mind.
The tremors are going.
What a time this was, man.
Earthquake, he hits his big move, which is jump and sit on him.
Yes.
Which, according to Gorilla Monsoon, looked like a 9 on the Richter scale.
Oh, thank you, Gorilla.
And he sits on the Repo Man and wins.
Walkity, walkity, walk.
So we get back to the house, and Butch now has a power saw, and then they're like, "Hi, Mom," and they just start shouting out their mothers and how proud they are. They are of them.
And at this point, Luke's head is also fucked up. They've both taken like that plastic lining that you actually put on your head and just fucking, I swear to God, they just ripped that shit between takes just to make it look increasingly goofy. Yeah. And they're also murdering the fuck out of this poor wall. There are rough.
They do not know what they're doing about this wall.
Not in the slightest.
I quoted Luke on this. "Don't worry, Mummy. You know we've done this plenty of times. It's not something I want to hear about the Bushwhackers handling power tools."
Nope. Oh God, I can only imagine the heart attack.
And then Butch, he goes up the wall, and then he hits something, and they're like, "Whoa, what was that?" And they're like, they don't think it's a pipe or anything. God. They think something's just stuck up there. So Luke just reaches his hand
blind reaches
his hand into this wall, which is, don't do that, kids.
As all the most experienced architects and home builders do.
And he pulls out an electrical cord, like a torn open ended electrical cord.
Yes.
And completely uncovered.
Oh God.
And Luke then proceeds to ask Alfred to hold the cord. And
Alfred's like, "No, what the fuck?
What the fuck is wrong with you?" Absolutely.
And Alfred's no longer wearing his gloves for some reason, presumably so we can make this bit work,
that's about to happen.
But also, like, why the fuck isn't he wearing his gloves anymore?
And it's at this point where safety first clearly becomes a bit, as the Bushwhackers are like, the Bushwhackers never ever put safety second, and they swear it's safe because there's no electricity in this house, except There definitely is, because
There
even though
definitely
there
lights
is
on.
natural light coming into this house, they are still clearly in a lit room. So no, there's electricity is still absolutely in this house. And so they hand the wire to Alfred. They convince Alfred to take the wire, and we get a smash cut to Alfred pretending to be electrocuted. He keeps making,
they're like
silly...
shining blue lights on him now. He's making a silly face, and like they're shaking the camera.
They do the stock sound effect of and it's like, oh my god.
It was the dumbest. Oh my god. And then the lights go out in the fucking
Hey cousin Luke, I think someone turned off the electricity.
Oh my god. So eventually they get a fucking flashlight. We just see Alfred fried to a crisp up against the
and they're
wall.
like, oh my god, we just killed a man.
It's just Bushwhackers just fucking recorded a negligent workplace murder on camera. OSHA would like to know your location, motherfuckers.
So but Butch, he tries to like transition to Mean Gene segment while he's trying to start doing CPR.
He's like,
to
yeah.
Alfred Hayes.
Luke's like, cousin Luke, do CPR. And of course, Butch's version of CPR is like vaguely pressing his hands against Alfred's chest while Alfred like mimes those compressions of any kind of effect on him. Well, Alfred is standing upright. By the way,
he is CPR, dead, but he is standing upright in the flashlight.
CPR, a thing that is famously done with somebody standing in an upright position.
Yeah, I wanted to find this funny, but it was too over the top.
I found it funny, but not for the reason I did not find it funny. It wasn't
funny in the way they wanted me to think.
It's funny in the this is so extremely fucking dumb way.
Yeah. But oh man.
Oh boy.
Here is also something funny in a dumb way, I think. But we get to Mean Gene Okerlund sitting in a Japanese restaurant with Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji.
Okay, fucking when I was told that we would be getting a segment from Yokozuna on cooking for the single man, I thought we'd get like the fucking Yokozuna like chef show. I was so excited to see Yokozuna like preparing some ridiculous pseudo-Japanese dish for us.
This is him eating Japanese food.
It's Mean Gene with Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji at a fucking hibachi restaurant.
Fuji
this is not what I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, the cooking for the single man. The single man is Yokozuna. The bit here is, look at this fat man eat food.
Yes.
So
Fuji, not great considering how he passed away.
Yes, but Fuji is trying to show off Yokozuna's diet, how he maintains his weight. And let me tell you, Gene-san.
He keeps saying Gene-san because of course.
We start with a nice appetizer of steak and shrimp and 5 to 10 pounds of steamed rice.
I will say, at least I think Fuji is actually Japanese. I believe he is. Okay. That's one. They got one.
Yeah, and he's like, and Mean Gene claims that Yokozuna eats 15,000 calories a day, and
which is wild.
Which could be, I could believe you, but not great.
They bring out an appetizer of sushi for the table.
So before they bring out the appetizer, though, is they bring out the chopsticks. And there's a lot of comedy here of Mean Gene is culturally ignorant.
Mean Gene has apparently never eaten Japanese food before. Which
this feels like this is playing to like the middle America of 1993, who definitely doesn't know anything about Japanese cuisine.
Dude, I legitimately couldn't tell how much of this was a bit from Mean Gene, because he delivered everything in this segment so earnestly that I kind of by the end was legitimately believing that he had never like encountered Japanese cuisine.
He's too good at the straight man of this. We don't know if he's doing a bit.
I can't tell. Yeah. but at least in kayfabe, he has never eaten Japanese food before.
He's
and
like,
he is
he can't do the
extremely confused
chopsticks.
as to how the fuck chopsticks work.
He can't do the chopsticks. Fuji's obviously making fun of him about it. Fuji's
Yes.
like, if you can't survive without the chopsticks, you use your hands.
Yeah, and Mean Gene's like, oh, that works for me.
He's like, all right. And Fuji's
He
like,
has already
hey, if
thrown
you
up the
can't
white
eat your
flag.
food, that's more for Yokozuna.
True.
And then they bring out the appetizer, and Mean
Which,
Gene's
like,
is this?
fuck, what, since when do you get served sushi as an appetizer at hibachi? I need that shit.
That'd be pretty neat.
Ugh.
But Gene's like, is this raw fish? Like, Mean Gene
Yes.
acts like he has never heard of sushi before in his life.
Mean
Not
Gene
not
isn't
eating
being a
it.
dick
He
about
doesn't know
international
what it
cuisine.
is.
Yes.
He is like freaking
How?
out at the thought of eating raw fish.
I legitimately can't tell how much of it is a bit.
Yeah. There's a funny moment as you see in the background of them like trying to eat the sushi. Like Mean Gene like stabs one of his pieces of sushi with one singular chopstick. Like he's trying to like kebab it. And he just like grabs a piece with his hands. They're like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You can do that.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then he dips it in like this like sauce that Yoko
and he's
had.
like, oh, well,
this is
that's
pretty good.
not bad. Yeah. And then
Yoko points him to the wasabi that is on the plate, and he's like, hey, put it in that, man.
Yeah, and Mr. Fuji's like, get that shit all over that sushi.
And then so of course he eats
does
it,
a
and he's
big
like,
old dip of the wasabi.
and he's like, oh god, it's so hot. And they're like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah. Although I have to give Gene some credit here in that he does the oh god, it's so hot thing for like 5 seconds, and then he's totally fine. So like, for everything I know about wasabi, it is very hot. So what this makes it seem like is Mean Gene is actually a fucking like genetic freak who can withstand high amounts of spice with relative ease.
If only Mean Gene could have been on a Hot Ones.
True. If only Mean Gene could try a fucking ghost pepper and give his 2 cents on it, you know?
Yeah, so we get a sushi eating montage where Yoko is just stuffing and stuffing and stuffing.
Dude, this whole and we cut to Mean Gene a couple times trying out sushi of his own, and all the cameras all at angles, and we're getting way too up close to people's faces. It feels like a bad drug trip in the middle of a fucking hibachi restaurant.
Yeah, so they're done eating, and Mean Gene is like, wow, I cannot believe that. Just watching Yokozuna is making me full. And he's like, well, this has been great, guys. And Mr. Fuji's like, no, hold on, just you wait for the entree.
Yeah, I was like, what the fucking hibachi is this? Are they even gonna do? They did actually bring out a hibachi chef.
They did the shit. They did the hibachi shit.
Yeah.
And Gene is like horrified at the thought that there's more food, but then he's like, oh, you know what? Let's just go for it. All right,
Why
stay.
Not? Send
and then
it.
In comes Lou, a hibachi style chef.
Yeah.
Mean Gene is like, wow, this is amazing. Let me tell you this. And Mean Gene asks Yokozuna if he's like, do you like Lou's cooking? Because they try to present this as if like Lou is like a personal chef for Yokozuna.
Was that what they were going for? I
mean,
I guess
there's a line or two that kind of lean into it. Yeah.
Yeah, they do kind of claim that like they come to this restaurant on a pretty like regular basis.
And so sure. Gene is like, do you like Lou's cooking? And Yokozuna allegedly says Oshi. I couldn't hear him, so I don't know what he said, but Fuji's like, he said, oh, Oshi, very good, is what he said, which I also did not fact check whether that is Japanese for very good.
I don't know, man.
So the hibachi chef guy is doing the hibachi chef theatrics.
He's doing the whole thing.
He's doing the flippity flips, and he's doing the knockety knocks. And Yokozuna is apparently getting mad at this. His face looks the same the whole time.
Yeah, Fuji doesn't have time for this shit. He's like hurry up,
this food. And so, okay, Lou is apparently making steak and shrimp for 10 people. And Mean Gene is like, well, I mean, there's 3 men here, fella. I don't know what that's for. And then he mid-sentence realizes the implications that Yoko is going to eat for 8 people.
Also, Mean Gene, the hibachi chef gets the stove going and starts cooking shit up. And Mean Gene, like a fucking toddler, reaches for the stove and is like now is this, and he pulls his hand away. He's like,
And
well, that's
Fuji has
really
to tell him
hot.
not to do it.
Oh my god. Yeah, what fucking toddler ass Mean Gene over
Yeah.
here doesn't know not to touch hot stoves, I guess.
Yeah. So
and like, yeah.
Oh, you go ahead.
Well, fucking Lou. So Lou gets the whole thing going. We cut to a little bit later when the steak
bowl. He gets this huge bowl of rice.
Huge bowl of rice, which stays on that goddamn stove for way too long. Like, they get through multiple.
I think he moves it. He moves it over away from where the heat is in the stove.
Okay,
like he moves it to the corner of the stove.
See,
after he puts it on,
that would make sense, except for the fact that that's also the area where Mean Gene put his hand over and is like, well, hey, that's fucking hot.
Hey, bro. Hey, whoa, kayfabe now. Hold on.
Oh,
shush.
That's stupid ass kayfabe.
Okay, so then he puts on apparently 5 to 6 pounds of shrimp.
Wait. Sorry. One more thing on the rice, though. Either way, he's doing it the fuck out of order. You do the rice first.
Yeah, rice comes last, as we're about to find out.
I guess.
But okay, Gene is like, this is all way too much food, man. And Fuji is like, hey, man, don't say that in front of Yokozuna. You'll make him upset to talk about food like that.
Bad.
And so Lou also brought out like a dozen ribeye steaks, like an absolutely absurd amount of steaks.
Oh,
and
absurd.
So then we cut to later where the steaks are now cooked. And so he starts like chopping and dicing and cutting up the steaks. And he plates 2 steaks for Yokozuna on when everyone else gets 1. And then Fuji's like, hey, give him more food, more.
Yeah, Fuji starts harassing poor Lou here, who's not getting paid nearly enough for any of this shit.
And apparently, and I wrote, Yoko just pounds like 9 steaks. And then I also wrote, what about the rice? This is where
I know, literally, why is the rice still on the take that shit off? You were supposed to do the rice at the start. Chef!
So we get a montage of Yokozuna eating steaks. And at the end, Mean Gene claims that Yokozuna has consumed 11 ribeye steaks. And keep in mind, the shrimp went on the plate first. So we have not served shrimp. We have not served rice. We served the steak, which was the last thing to go on the stove, first. And we served all of it before we served any of the shrimp or any of the rice.
You know, poor Lou was in pain from having to like fuck up this entire like order of operations just for the sake of this dumb skit that he got roped into.
But okay, then he starts putting the shrimp on Yokozuna's plate. He just keeps piling it on top. God, and then he starts dumping, and then he finally starts cooking the rice, and then he starts dumping the fried rice also on Yokozuna's plate. And Yoko just puts down a whole damn plate. He even takes a bite of food off Mean Gene's plate. But Yokozuna has gotten through this entire food. And Mean Gene is like, well, what a fantastic meal. Can't have any more. How do you say in Japan when it's all over is the way he phrases it.
Yes.
And Fuji goes, sayonara. Okay. Mean Gene's like, all right, sayonara. All right, goodbye. And Fuji's like, no, Mean Gene, you can't leave yet. It's time for dessert. And Mean Gene just like puts his head in his hands. And it's like, oh no.
Oh my god.
And that is where the skit ends.
Wait. Sayonara literally is English or is Japanese.
I knew they got that right.
For some reason I always assumed it was like Spanish derivative.
No.
Sayonara is a casual way to say goodbye. You might it's Japanese. What the fuck? Okay, well, the more you know.
How dare you accuse the WWF of
being culturally insensitive and inaccurate? You know,
how dare you?
That was really rude of me. I'm sorry.
So this skit was kind of like insane and kind of
that
funny.
Was so fucking weird. I liked it, but also what the fuck?
So weird. Like
that was so bizarre.
And then we cut.
That is especially just because like we got the entire fucking like start to finish meal where that was presented by Lord Alfred as like what should have been like a Yokozuna cooking show, but it was it was weird from start to
The
fucking.
cooking is for a single man,
It was so
Yokozuna.
yes. It was so long. That was such a
It was a
prolonged
very
segment.
long bit.
You could have done the joke in like 2 minutes.
It is a long bit that has one joke.
And now I'm hungry for Japanese food.
It has 2 jokes. It has Mean Gene doesn't know Japanese culinary culture, and Yoko eats a lot of food. There are 2 jokes, and it goes on very long for a thing with 2 jokes.
Yup. Yeah, okay, so moving on.
Time for a Bret Hart profile with
Yes.
Gorilla Monsoon.
Yes.
And Bret Hart and Gorilla Monsoon are just standing outside in front of a building somewhere. And Bret has got the WWF championship on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And Gorilla is hyping up like, this match so horrifying, so dangerous. He could never imagine the idea of signing up for a ladder match.
I know. And they try to fucking kayfabe that Bret had never done a ladder match before, as if he had not done them in Calgary.
No,
like
I looked this up to check this to make sure the exact information. It's not just that Calgary did ladder matches. It is, to the best knowledge of wrestling historians, Calgary wrestling invented the ladder match in the 70s. Shit. So like Bret wrestled ladder matches in Calgary. He knew that, but they're kayfabing it that Bret has never been in a ladder match before.
Yeah, but he's like Shawn Michaels has.
Yeah, I wrote his quote here. I have reason to believe Shawn Michaels has had ladder matches before, or else I don't know who came up with the match type.
That's so fucking insulting, dude. Holy shit. That must have been so infuriating for him to say. Oh my God.
Yeah, but Bret, he says that he did this for the challenge of fighting in a dangerous match to be a fighting champion, rah, rah, rah. But we go to match 3, and I made a mistake earlier because I just kind of associate Shawn with the Intercontinental title and around this period of time. Yeah. This is not from 93. This is from 92, when Shawn was not the Intercontinental champion. Bret was.
Yeah, I was kind of confused about that as well.
And this is so early in Shawn Michaels' time. Shawn Michaels comes out with Sherry Martel, and Sherry Martel is the one singing his theme song. I know. I feel like I've mentioned it before, but like
you did.
If you've heard Shawn Michaels' theme song, the version you've probably heard is Shawn himself singing about how he is a sexy boy. And if you think that feels kind of weird, it's because the original version of the song was Sherry Martel singing Sensational Sherry singing about Shawn.
Yes.
And so when they broke up, they just decided that Shawn will keep the song, but we will redo it so Shawn is singing it about himself.
They'll re-record that shit. It's so goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Sherry is here. She carries a big heart-shaped mirror to the ring for Shawn to look at himself in.
Yes. Dude, fucking, I have to say, Shawn and Bret it's like the battle of the drip, because Shawn's got like some of the most like iconic, like really quite attractive gear that he brings to ring. And Bret just has the freshest drip. Holy shit. The black and the pink together.
The black and the pink has never looked better than on Bret Hart.
It looks so perfectly tailored. And like, dude, in the clips we see him holding the world title belt too, which has like a black strap on it. Oh my God. I don't think anybody looks better with that iteration of the WWF belt than Bret Hart does, man. Holy fuck. What drippy boys. Yeah, but they're here, match begins. Man, it's so fucking wild. These two did not like each other off the bat. Their in-ring chemistry is off the charts.
If only Shawn was not such a toxic asshole.
At least now they're like friends. They have reconciled at this like point in their lives. But back then, man.
Okay, so I noted that Shawn very specifically avoids walking under the ladder. There's no way they could have done the bit right, but I think it would have been very funny if he had walked under the ladder and Sherry's mirror shattered.
That would have been so fucking.
But there's no way they could have worked that.
No way. I could see Vince being tempted though.
He would think like, how can I figure out how to do that?
How can I end this goofy bullshit?
Yeah, so the Gorilla Monsoon with probably the dumbest comment I think I've ever heard on commentary in my life. As the match is starting up, he is like, Bret has effectively already lost this belt because he has to hand it over to the ref to hang it in the rafters. No. Gorilla, every title match, the champion has to hand the belt over to the ref.
I also took note of this quote, and I agreed at first that was a fucking nonsensical point because that's how all title matches work. But there is one angle they kind of do. They're kind of talking about this from later in the match that actually kind of retroactively made me get down with that statement. In that, in this type of match, there cannot be a DQ win. There has to be a winner in a standard rules title match. If there is a DQ, the title holder retains the title. They are presumed champion until proven otherwise by a direct victory. Here, there has to be a direct victory of one over the other. So I can get down with this in the idea that like there has to be a winner. And so Bret does not get to be assumed the default champion in this case. But at first I did note that same thing of like he has to hand over the belt and like because it's getting raised over the arena, he's effectively not champion anymore. Just that alone is dumb. But with that secondary context, I feel like that you actually do get something there.
Mm-hmm. So for me, this match it's kind of weird in that sense of like, you know, I've heard so much about this match, and it is a really good match. But I also think my brain is too poisoned by the work rate and spot monkeyisms of now, because I was like, God, do more things. But I still will say this is a really good match, and like I get it. This is like a feeling out. They're both in and out of kayfabe. This is two guys kind of feeling themselves out of like what they can do in a ladder match. And that's a cool story. And also, I think the story is an expert in escalation as in pacing. Like in how they keep doing more things with the ladders and how what happens with the ladders gets more and more dangerous as the match goes on.
Yeah, no, there's this kind of there were a couple things I noted about because ladder matches have tropes associated with them, and they actually did run through a lot of at least the baseline tropes in this match. You get like the guy climbing up and the other dude grabs him down. You get the knocking over of the ladder while someone's on it. Later on, you get the ladder being used as a weapon. A lot of these tropes are being hit. And even the goofy, like the guy, one guy's fucking a little too long the ladder. He tries to grab the thing, but he can't quite grab it, so he has to go up because it eats time and allows the other wrestler to come over and like knock him down or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, gotta pretend like I can't win right now.
And on top of that, like it's wild to hear commentary talk about all of this because like so many of these tropes that we take for granted, like you said, like we're so used to this do something yada yada. Commentary kind of like is a great reminder that this has never been seen before because they are like so thoroughly explaining all of these tropes and having their minds ostensibly blown by all of these maneuvers that are being done with these ladders that we now take as like granted standard aspects of a ladder match.
Yeah, and like I almost wanted to look at this through the lens of like, would Elizabeth hate this match?
I don't think she would.
No, because it's like there's a certain conservative way they use the ladders. Like there's not like they are not like they don't do a ton of spots with the ladder. it's like 2 or 3, I think, times they use the ladder in a way that as a weapon and not as a means to win.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. That's interesting to look on in like this is what like the original ladder matches looked like. And it's not as awkward as some like first time gimmick matches are. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, talking about like early triple threat matches, how there's a certain like kind of awkwardness to them because they don't really know what they're doing.
Well.
It flowed really well. It is just very different from what a more modern ladder match looks like.
Absolutely.
So like we open the match with just like good old fashioned chain wrestling, because here's the thing. In modern ladder matches, they have tons of ladders all over the place, almost like they're designed to be gimmick, to be spot to spot, be spot festy, jump off ladders and shit. In this match, they mean it. It is a ladder match. There is one ladder.
It's not a ladders match. It is a ladder. There is only one.
Yeah, and they put the ladder all the way over in the entrance way. They had the guys have to go back and go get.
Yeah, like way the fuck out of their way, which is kind of funny.
So the very beginning of the match is them kind of doing regular wrestling in an attempt to put somebody down long enough to just go get the ladder.
Yeah. At one point, Bret gets Shawn down, but then Shawn makes a recovery, and then Shawn gets Bret down and tries to like beat up on him a little more. And Gorilla, like noticing that Bret was down, he kind of goes, "Well, I think that now would be a good time to go get the ladder." And then like as he says that, Shawn just is continuing to beat up Bret, and he goes like, "Maybe not." Gorilla with like the disappointed dad vibes here of like, "You could be so much more practical right now, son."
Yeah, please. But Shawn does end up going and get the ladder, and he like almost gets it to the ring, and before Bret comes back to whoop his ass.
Yes.
And then Bret takes Shawn down in the ring, and he gets the ladder. And this was so neat of a spot idea for someone who has never done a ladder match before. Yeah. So Sherry runs over and grabs the ladder, tries to stop Bret from pulling the ladder in the ring. And Bret's like, "The fuck are you doing?" And he like tries to stalk Sherry back up the entranceway to like go to the back to the locker room.
Yes.
And while Bret is doing that, Shawn got up, he gets the ladder and tries to just go up and win the match right now.
I know. Except like for some reason, Sherry points out to Bret that Shawn's about at the top of the
Sherry
ladder,
somehow gives up the goat on this, and Bret
I have no
goes
idea
back
why
to stop him. But then Shawn gets Bret in the corner, and we get the first instance of a ladder being used as a weapon, where he takes the ladder and he takes that front top part and just rams it into Bret's gut.
Yes, the first use in the WWF of the ladder as a weapon, really.
Mm-hmm.
That was the wild one for me. That was what I wasn't sure about of like whether or not we were gonna get ladder as weapon. But yeah, no, he rams it into Bret's abdomen, and commentary is like, "Oh my god, what's he doing with this? That's a ladder. That's not supposed to be used for that." You like fuck so much. Like it's so wild just to hear how novel this is for everybody involved.
Like now we get a linear, and then we get a lengthy sequence of like Bret tries to climb and Shawn pulls him off. Then Shawn tries to climb, Bret pulls off. I feel like I'm doing almost a disservice the way I describe that, because it is very much just like trope to trope of ladder matches. But it's really actually interesting to watch. And again, it is for this audience, this is a completely novel thing to be watching.
I know. Yeah, like this wasn't some rinky-dink little exhibition. Vince could have had this be a 5-minute fucking whatever. This is a match. Mm-hmm. And like we're seeing the proof in the pudding for the ladder match in real time, essentially. Like they're building the blueprint, and it's like it's not hard to understand how this won Vince over, because these two fucking rocked this match, dude.
Yeah, they kind of fight with the ladder until eventually it gets to the point where like Shawn is trying to reposition the ladder, and Bret gets under the ladder
Yeah.
And like they're like fighting for the control, and they get it into the corner. Shawn bounces Bret's head into the ladder, and
Ooh.
but then Bret starts hitting his signature spots as you come to see it watching 3 back-to-back Bret Hart matches here. As like Bret gets in the corner, Shawn runs at him, Bret jumps up and kicks him, then he goes to the middle rope and hits a clothesline, and then Bret slingshots Shawn face first into the ladder. Crazy.
Fucking wild. There's this I think after that, like, Shawn kind of goes down for a second. And Lord Alfred, once again, like the 90s equivalent of like Boomer trying to say hip shit, calls Shawn a toy boy.
Like, good try.
As opposed to a boy toy. Good job, Al.
Good try, Al.
You did your best, man.
At one point, we get to Shawn is climbing up the ladder while Bret is also climbing up the ladder. So both men are finally climbing up the ladder at the same time. They only do this once in this match. They only do that particular idea.
There's so many more times you could utilize it. Just watch
They just punch each other. They punch each other until both of them fall over and the ladder falls on top of them.
I know. Dude, ladders falling over in these matches are so fucked.
Even in the first ladder match, you got guys being crushed by ladders.
Oh, ow. Yeah. But fucking all this kind of goes down. Bret's eventually able to get the ladder back to center.
But first for that, because I want to bring this up, because this is the thing I love bringing up about these early Shawn Michaels stuff here, is like Bret is hitting the ropes to do a move, and Sherry grabs Bret's foot, and then Shawn Michaels hits his patented heel kick.
Yes.
His patented reverse thrust kick, aka the sweet chin music, but not quite yet.
What the fuck is sweet chin music? This is good old-fashioned.
But then he hits his real big scary maneuver, the teardrop suplex. That is the thing that puts people out of commission.
That's the crazy one. I guess he's a heel, so he's not getting really popped for right now. But
So after that, Shawn starts climbing the ladder. He has to pretend he can't he has to pretend he can't grab the belt right now. As Bret gets up, drop kicks Shawn off the ladder. The ladder kind of topples over. Shawn crotches the ropes, and then he takes a fall to the floor. And then at that point, Bret just climbs up the ladder and wins.
Yeah, pretty much. Bret for the dub. Man, they fucking delivered on this one.
They did. Say. Really good match here. We cut back to Gorilla and Bret. Gorilla is like, Bret, you're going to go down in history as the champion with the most defenses in history. You defended the belt only 2 days after winning it. And against Kamala.
Of all people.
Yep.
Okay.
So Gorilla is like, Bret, what is your game plan for facing a guy that's bigger than you? And Bret proceeds to not answer that question, as he just talks about how he doesn't want to, hide behind the belt. He wants to entertain the fans. He wants to keep challenging himself. He has to prove that he is the excellence of execution.
Which is apparently a term that Gorilla coined for him.
That checks out. He probably did say that. I believe
they talk about that a few times in this video, I think.
Honestly, if you watch before Bret Hart was a singles guy, he used that's a name, the excellence of execution, that Gorilla Monsoon uses semi-frequently. Like that's kind of just almost a tropey term for him to use to describe other wrestlers. As like they're the excellence of execution for how they just did a move, and then it just became Bret's one of Bret's catchphrases when Bret was coming on the come up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, no, he lampshades a couple times that Gorilla made this term for him, and like it's funny too because I think Bret kind of like fucking stumbles over this phrase.
Bret is not comfortable quite as a talker.
I did notice that. I was like, my man's really like soft spoken here, and not like very low key energy, not quite the giant charismatic champ that you would expect. But yeah, either way, cool motherfucker, and it cracks me up that we're watching his title defense before we're actually watching him win the title. Seems
They decided
slightly
the
out of
best
order.
for last on this.
But it's not even last. Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah, unfortunately. So it is Kamala. Before the match, we get to listen to his manager, Dr. Harvey Whippleman.
Yeah, who's this scrawny motherfucker? Okay.
Yeah, and he is a doctor because he started carrying around a medical bag to ringside and calling himself a doctor.
That is how that works. That's all you need.
You know, he follows the wear a lab coat and scrubs methodology of being a doctor.
So he's not even wearing either of those things. My man's in like a fucking suit.
Yeah, but he does carry a medical bag, so you know.
Yes. He's got 1 out of 3.
Yeah, so he introduces the Ugandan giant Kamala with the great kimchi.
Yes, the Twin Brawler is here.
Yeah, and so Bret comes out. Okay, and we get to the match, and whole lot of standing around to start.
Oh my god! Don't fucking remind me.
Bret Hart spent a lot of the 90s slowing himself down for much shittier wrestlers, and this match with Kamala is absolutely no exception to that.
Yeah, Kamala's not quite on the same level. They eventually kind of get going with Bret working the arm.
You know, it is. You know what? I'll bring this up in a second. You know, no, I'll bring it up right now. You know, please. I had a revelation in this match thinking about Kamala. And I just kind of thought to myself, like, why can I obviously, I'm not going to consider myself a fan of Kamala either way. But, like, why do I struggle to, like, buy into the monster idea of his character? More so than I would other giant characters of similar ilk. Like, I also think Yokozuna is corny and silly, but I buy into him as like a monster heel, right?
Yeah.
But why do I
help with that?
Why can I not do that with Kamala? And I think part of why that is he is just so goofy.
Yeah.
Like, he is too goofy for me to sincerely buy him as a threatening character.
Well, yeah, because he's effectively he almost reads like a fucking minstrel character, except with an actual black man playing him.
But I feel like even for a minstrel character, you could book him in a way that I could buy the menace.
Yeah.
But, like, I'll just point out is that, like, there is a move. They're like, he does a thing later in the match where Bret counters him by stomping on his bare feet.
Yes.
And he, like, when he does that, he goes, "Ah!"
Yeah, he's played like a fucking buffoon.
He moves like a buffoon.
Yeah,
and that's
like
why I can't buy. So, like, even if I accept, like, on a meta level, I think he's stupid. I can't even, like, buy into the story that he's a monster that Bret should fear.
Yeah. So not the highest quality match Bret could find himself in. Fucking so some highlights is Bret's working the arm, but then Kamala uses that same arm that Bret was working to try to offer a test of strength. And the commentary is like, whoa, why
everyone
is he doing that?
Everyone and their mother is like, this is a trap. And then Bret initially says no.
So it was Alfred Hayes and someone else on commentary for this
one.
Sean
Mooney, I think.
Sean Mooney fucking goes, this could be subterfuge or at least chicanery. They just goofy fucking. I don't think in this context those are different things. I do love how often wrestling commentary likes to use the word chicanery. It's a good word. You use it too. I've very much had it pushed a lot more into my lexicon doing this podcast. Commentary speculates what's possibly behind Kimchi's mask. One of the possibilities being maybe it's a divorced man who owes child support. Yeah, the specific phrase was maybe he's wanted by the law or an irate wife.
is the way Sean Mooney puts that. And honestly, I thought he was talking about Kamala's face paint. I didn't.
No.
Okay, he's talking about kimchi.
I'm pretty sure it was kimchi. It was like what's behind the mask, and they just keep speculating again. Commentary does not give a shit, although they do give somewhat of a shit because it's not the absolute shit lords of Lord Alfred Hayes and Gorilla Monsoon paired together. At least Sean Mooney keeps things a little bit on track. But yeah, they're speculating over who's under Kim, which is very funny knowing that it's just a fucking Brooklyn Brawler. Most likely.
It's nobody that interesting.
It's nobody that, all these big interesting guests you guys are giving as if it's not just this motherfucker who likes baseball.
Hey, that's Knuckleball Schwartz, totally a different character.
Totally different character. Kamala tries to like pull some bullshit and Bret stomps his foot. And yeah, don't come to the ring barefoot, wear your shoes. Fucking, you know what? I will say I'm glad to know that like Marina Shafir in the modern day isn't the only person who gets weird commentary fixation on lack of shoes in ring. I will forever have Matt Menard stuck in my head going, I just like a covered toe.
I don't like a covered toe. Matt Menard would not be a Kamala guy.
Matt Menard would very much not be a Kamala guy. It's like where he'd be like, where are the shoes? What you gotta wear the shoes in ring. I could never go to the ring without shoes. I think, and then he'd see fucking Kamala's feet get stomped on by Bret, and he'd be like, see, this is it. You gotta have those feet protected. I like a covered toe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that the Skull Crusher was not the stupidest move that I was mad about. The idea of like, why do you not just get out of this? This match had that because at one point, Kamala gets Bret Hart in an armpit nerve hold where he just like claws at Bret's armpit. That is all he does. And Bret just like stands there and is like, the pain.
Oh, dude. No. My armpit. It vaguely tickles.
He is doing nothing but clawing your armpit. And you're just going to let him do that.
God damn.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not even a vital organ like the head situation. It's pretty rough going out there. I got some humor in like Kamala apparently likes to like try to like chop downward, like chop like just downwards at people when they're on the ground, and I thought that was like a funny visual. But
yeah, I think as a response to that, like this kind of somewhat varied moveset that Kamala has. Alfred Hayes actually says that Kamala is more than just like a primitive buffoon from the jungle. He's actually like clever and smart and got a varied moveset. And I think for that alone, like Alfred Hayes may have gotten his fucking British card revoked for like not for saying anything remotely nice about one of the colonized races.
You're a British man saying something so nice about a Ugandan.
I know. I think he might have just gotten his like British citizenship revoked for that one.
Yeah, that is very not imperialistic of you.
I know. What the fuck, Alfred? The most progressive old British man of the 90s,
the idea that Kamala is actually smart just reminds me that we are but months away in this point in time from him becoming a character where the bit is he doesn't know how to pin a guy because he covers them. He covers them on their belly and not their back. And he has to be reminded that you gotta move him over.
Yeah, I wonder, Austin, why you struggle so much to take him seriously as a monster. Hey,
to be fair, by that point he is a goofy babyface character, so at least him being an idiot is more socially acceptable.
What even fucking turns him face? Does he like beat up on Whippleton or something?
Yes, basically Reverend Slick shows up and is like, you are not a savage, you are a man, and he's like trying to get him to like rise up from his oppressors in Kimchi and Harvey Whippleman.
Oh my god!
He like gets the whole arena to start being like, "You are a man," and then Kamala breaks free and turns babyface.
What the fuck? Man, it feels kind of awful though that he breaks away from his oppressors and then without like handlers to keep an eye on him,
he's a complete idiot.
He's a incompetent buffoon, implicitly saying that the handlers were right all along to like keep a leash on him. Oh no!
Absolutely wild. That's basically beginning of '93 is when that whole thing went down.
Yeah. Fucking.
Bret hits all of his big moves on Kamala.
Yeah,
He hits the Russian leg sweep. He does the middle rope clothesline. He monkey flips Kamala. That was pretty sick.
That is sick, yeah.
Second rope elbow drop. So whatever. Bret Hart goes for the sharpshooter. Kimchi and Harvey try to jump up and interfere. Kamala accidentally hits Kimchi off the apron. Bret rolls up Kamala for the win. I would like to point out,
roll up dub.
Yeah, and then after the match, Kamala starts trying to beat down Bret, but he goes for
joined by Kimchi and Whippleman, I might add.
They get in the ring and help, but then he goes for his splash. Bret moves out of the way, and instead, accidentally, he splashes Harvey. And then Bret just tosses all three of them out of the ring and walks. Yeah, I win.
Fucking, yeah, Bret Hart gets 3-on-1 teamed up against, both toward the end of the match to try to, like, cheat to give the dub to Kamala. And when that fails, they try to do a 3-on-1 beatdown. And they fail on both accounts because they're all fucking incompetent and Bret is the best, is great. And I love him.
That is why he is the excellence of execution.
Absolutely, but it is very funny. So back to Bret and
Gorilla. Gorilla says the fax line has been hot.
Yeah,
the mailbox has been full. They've been blowing up the phones. When will we see the match?
They've been getting faxes about this. You know that's how you know it's legit.
I don't know if I can like imagine taking the time to fax the WWE corporate office just to be like, I want Bret Hart versus Ric Flair.
Exactly. That's how you know it's serious.
Like, I can't imagine like faxing a wrestling company about your booking choices.
They had to know, Austin. They had to see the match.
Like, at least like Twitter is like super easy to use and takes like 2 minutes. I got a fax machine, man. You gotta type in the whole number. You gotta like know the fax number. You gotta type the whole number. You gotta feed the paper in there. And like, you can't even do it for clout. Because no one else is going to see this fax except the schmuck at the WWE.
That's how you know it's legit. You had to go to all that fucking trouble to fax that shit. That speaks volumes to me. And again, honestly, if that's legit, if they really fucking were getting faxed about this, that's how you know, like, oh my God, they really did not give a shit about TV. That people were just foaming at the mouth to see this very stupidly not televised.
They're like, we don't got it. Why put it on TV
why put one of our biggest faces beating one of our biggest heels to win the belt for the first time? Who wants to see that shit?
Why put it on free TV when these schmucks are so hungry for this match they will buy this VHS tape to watch it?
Yeah, fucking dude, who needs that doesn't give us money directly, so it's fucking useless to us, obviously. And I mean, it worked. They did sell it on a VHS for money instead and probably made a decent amount of money off all the people that frantically faxed them trying to see this goddamn match.
Yeah, I imagine if you consider the fact that it's taking place in 1993, so we're post-peak of the golden age. I imagine this was a very successful Coliseum video release, just because they're like, guys, this is the one with Bret and Ric Flair.
Yeah. Most of the other matches on it are garbo. Even fucking Bret Hart couldn't save one of them. But man, we got the match. So
Yeah.
give us money.
So before Gorilla is asking Bret, like, well, what do you do? How do you like Rick's reputation precedes him essentially. He's like, how do you prepare for that? And Bret is like, is it just because I only have one shot, man? He was not throwing away his shot. He's in they're in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is the hometown of Stu Hart, Bret Hart's father, which is very correct. Actually, I checked that.
Yes. Yeah.
I wish old man Stu had been in the crowd for this match. Though honestly, I don't think I would have wanted Stu Hart in this match, like anywhere near this match, if Bobby Heenan or Jerry Lawler wasn't on commentary to shit talk him.
Wait, what? Why?
Because it's hilarious watching them make jokes about old man Stu Hart. That's why.
You know what? Fair enough. And Bret also reveals that he apparently wrestled this match with a sprained ankle and a dislocated finger, both of which he sustained like a couple minutes into the match, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, he looked fine to me.
Yeah.
No reason to lie about it or anything,
that.
but he, does not wrestle like he's particularly injured. But that's what it means. But nothing can stop the excellence of execution from being excellent.
Absolutely, that's how it goes. Fucking on commentary, Gorilla Monsoon reveals that he has very intimate knowledge of how many fucking kids Stu Hart had.
I mean, he did have a lot of children.
Yes,
he had enough kids for WWF to fill an entire Survivor Series team of Bret and his brothers.
That's so wild. Yeah. Gorilla claims 13. Wikipedia claims 12. I'm not sure which is the more correct number. And Gorilla knows precisely, at least presumably precisely, how many sons and daughters there are, which is just, why do you know?
You gotta know how many future wrestlers are in the family.
Were he and Stu like buddies?
Probably.
Okay, that probably explains it. Also, like, Kurt Hennig is hanging out with Flair these days.
I looked this up, so I had good information to describe what's happening here. So Kurt Hennig is retired.
In 93. Okay.
Well, that doesn't stick.
I know. I'm aware.
But basically, his back was super de-duper fucked. And
it's a Daniel Bryan retirement. Okay.
And he famously, as was a thing in the 90s, is he took out a Lloyd's of London policy. Lloyd's of London is an insurance and reinsurance market in the UK. Famously, they will insure basically anything. They are not a traditional insurance company, and therefore they will just insure weird shit sometimes for headlines. In this case, they were willing to insure the bodies of wrestlers. And in fact, if they suffered a career-ending injury, they could in fact take a payout, regular payouts from the Lloyd's of London.
What the fuck?
Provided that they stopped wrestling. So of course, they stopped insuring Lloyd's of London wrestlers, probably because not only is insuring wrestlers a good way to not make money,
it's a good way to lose a shit ton of
also
money.
Wrestlers love skirting the rules on not wrestling. They are like, we will only pay you out if you like stop. And then wrestlers are like, but they still hang around and take bumps and eventually get back in the ring because wrestling is full of people who are not necessarily the most common sense smart guys and are addicted to the adrenaline
and who are huge masochists who get off on getting hurt and taking bumps. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know how good the payoffs were. I tried to look into this. Obviously, I would expect not as good as if he was still wrestling, but he also still has a job with the WWF as on top of the Lloyds of London policy. This is me saying I'm not sure I understand why Curt Hennig would like he had to retire because he had multiple discs in his back be completely fucked. And he would still be like, I gotta keep wrestling, man.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I don't know. So, now, some wrestlers did took the payout and stuck to it. Most famously, Rick Rude was like that, but also Ted DiBiase was also one of the, I got paid by Lloyds of London. I am never taking a bump again.
He got a taste for that Lloyds of London payout, and he knew it was no fucking laughing matter.
Yep. So yeah, that's why Curt Hennig is here. He is the executive consultant for Ric Flair.
Sure, I guess.
Ric Flair in his short time in the WWF, I want to save that story for when we ever do Royal Rumble 92. Because it's a fascinating tale of how Ric Flair happened to be in the WWF for like a year.
Yeah, this is one thing that like fucks with me is like the timeline of which company Ric Flair was in and when.
Yeah, he left in late 1991.
Yes.
And then he came into the WWF. He stayed there for all of 92. And then in the January 93, he lost a loser leaves WWE match to Curt fucking Hennig.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Look at that. He lost the match and went straight on back to NWA WCW. Like, he left them. He did WWE for a year. He came back.
Okay, so that's what it was. And by that point, NWA WCW was shaping up into the WCW.
Which I think if Ric Flair would tell you now, he'd probably say he wished he had just stayed in the WWF.
Really?
Eric Bischoff absolutely hates Ric Flair and tried to bury the fuck out of him whenever he could get away with it.
Really? Because Ric Flair was like otherwise treated like God by the fans.
He was. And in his, I don't know what it is, quite frankly. I think I've never quite understood it. It feels like it was just like Bischoff being like, get this Southern fucking hick draw out of here.
Yeah, okay, well, see, that's the thing is, like, look, not liking Ric Flair is based in red pilled, okay? Fuck that guy. However...
But Eric Bischoff didn't care for him as, like, a wrestling draw.
Yeah. It's not principled from Eric Bischoff, because on the other side of the coin, Eric Bischoff is a spiteful asshole who hates shit for very personal reasons that he tries to pass off as like intellectual.
And like they hated each other. Ric Flair hated his time in WCW after he went back. They buried the fuck out of him when they could in favor of Hogan and then the NWO.
That's so fucking wild.
And yet,
but like the Horsemen were so big.
They were, but they can take their jabroni asses, sit right back down because it's the New World Order, brother.
Were the Horsemen a thing pre like in earlier NWA?
Very much so. They were huge. They were huge in the 80s.
Okay. I assume, but I was.
They were huge in the 80s in Jim Crockett Promotions.
Yeah, so Ric Flair comes over and becomes WWF champ because of course he does, because he's one of the most popular wrestlers of all time.
Vince absolutely loves sticking it to other companies' top guys when they show up here. That's right. Well, not sticking it to them. He likes sticking it to the other companies. By being like, we have your guy and he's our champ. Suck a dick.
Suck a dick, dumb shits. Yes. Yeah. God. All right. Anyway. So
all this to say, honestly, this match is fucking fantastic.
Oh my fucking God, dude. This match ruled. Holy fuck. Okay. This made everything worth it. Like the ladder match was also pretty sick, but holy shit. Like, I don't think I'd make this like a 5-star match because like the one thing about this match is like Bret Hart is just kind of in control for a weirdly like disproportionate amount of time.
It kind of happens with Ric Flair because Ric Flair is so good at being on the defensive that like he ends up wrestling from the thing
because I remember like I remember when we were doing the NWO storyline. I remember matches of Ric Flair like being more on the offensive. I thought like I remember him being more offensively dangerous. But here he was very much on the defensive. So like for me personally, I would have liked more of a back and forth in order to call it like a real 5-star banger.
Mhm.
But like fuck, that was still at least like that was still like solidly like 4 stars. The work was fucking off the charts. Holy shit. Lord Alfred off the bat is like he you know, in kind of putting both of them over, he says something that I kind of had to laugh at of the only difference between these two is not between skill, size, weight, or ability. Which that phrase I had to kind of laugh at. Not only it's not the difference between them. It's not between skill or ability or weight or size, nor is it between adeptness or girth or BMI or prowess. Just the way he's restating shit. Yeah. Beautiful. And
this
oh my god.
Great match. I made a joke about this early on is Bret Hart hit the back body drop, and I'm like, patented Ric Flair landing on his side for a back body drop because
I didn't catch that, but
yeah,
you know more about
when you see it, you'll notice it. And the reason for this is because like for realsies in the late 70s, Ric Flair was in a massive plane crash and almost died. And in fact, on that plane crash, other wrestlers he was on the plane crash with did die. But he had a massive sustained back injury. And this was pre becoming the Nature Boy. He was just like a dude. He was a lot bigger, by the way. Like he kind of like he's a lot chunkier guy than you think of Ric Flair being. But he gets in this plane crash. It fucks up his back. And he has to completely change his entire way of doing wrestling. And he becomes the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. But from then on, he never takes a straightforward back bump. He always lands on his side or tries to angle himself in some way that he does not land perfectly on his back.
That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, it's cool he was able to like do that. Fucking Hitman's in control for a lot of this. Gorilla Monsoon makes a comment about like he has yet to break a sweat 10 minutes in, which reminded me that he said like
it was not 10 minutes into the match.
Oh, see
Gorilla?
Well, he said 8 to 10, so like, you know, he was giving it a bit of leeway.
I was stopwatching. I was like, shut the fuck up, Gorilla.
Either way, by this point, based on Bret's account of it, he had already fucking at least sprained his ankle, if not dislocated a finger. Motherfucker isn't even limping. What a stone cold badass. Like, if he legitimately did sprain, like, he did not limp during this, but holy fuck, Bret Hart is so cool. Holy fuck, he's so
coolest.
God, dude. I love him. I fucking love Bret Hart, dude. Holy shit. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I love him so much.
Okay, so early in the match, Ric Flair heads to the outside. Ric Flair heads to the outside to consult with Mr. Perfect, and suddenly Gorilla and Hayes start like just like talking up their sick camera crew with these cool angles. They even name off camera guy number 5.
Oh my god. They keep fucking going. It's always they keep going off on these tangents. Even during this banger of a match, they still find ways to fuck around and not give a shit. Yeah,
and so after that, though, we get a wrist, like I wrote, wrist lock fight. Let's fucking go. But then Bret gets Ric Flair's arm and like starts bending it in like a hammerlock-esque kind of thing. And Ric Flair is screaming like a goddamn maniac.
Yes.
And Bret like has a hold of Ric's arm for like 3 minutes straight.
I know.
Just wrenching the arm.
He's running roughshod of poor Flair here. At one point, I'm pretty sure like he kind of gets Flair down and he goes to the outside for like Hart goes to the outside for some reason. Or something. He kind of like he gets Flair down. He walks away for a second. Then he goes back to Flair. And Flair like kind of fucking oh wait, no. He backs Flair into a corner is what happens. He backs Flair into a corner and Flair's doing the oh no, don't you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? But then Bret goes for like a Bret goes for some kind of move and Flair like fucking kicks him and actually like gets a little bit of control back.
I will say
just an observation. I feel like Flair is one of those like kings of getting a reversal off of playing possum. Like he's so good at doing the like, no, and then as soon as he gets an opening, like bam.
I was going to say that is like there's something fascinating about watching Ric Flair, the way he plays cowardly shit, is because his ability to turn it on a dime is honestly I've never seen anyone faster at just like quickly changing it and being a little shitbag.
I know.
Like he is begging in the corner and then like you blink and Ric Flair is the one who has Bret in the corner. I'm like, now hold on a minute. And another moment in the match I like adored is Rick is on the ropes and Bret walks over to him and Rick does just like the quickest thumb to the eye you've ever seen. Like it's almost like an instinctual reflex to be a cheating bastard for Ric Flair. He's like, boop. He didn't have to think about it. He just bop does it.
It was funny too, because like I missed that until like until commentary like lampshaded. I was like, wait, that happened? What the fuck?
And there's a certain
it was extremely like blink and you missed it.
There's a certain kind of internal brilliance to that is because like he is so subtle, the ref can't catch him in the act.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I guess so. Fuck. I didn't even think of that angle of it. Holy shit, you're right.
Like, I like Ric Flair as this guy who is a supremely smart and talented in-ring wrestler, but just loves taking shortcuts because I'm a dick.
Also, fuck. I'm looking at, I'm seeing, like, pictures of early Ric Flair. Shit, he really did, like, slim down a lot. God damn. He was a thick boy, and also like earliest days, like fucking crew cut he looks like a completely different guy. Holy shit. Anyway,
weird.
What wild stuff, man. What a man.
Flair. I also adored Bret sent Flair to the outside for a thing, and Flair does a
Oh my God.
And then Bret gets him back in the ring, one punch, and then he flops in the ring again.
Yeah, I know. I noticed the exact same shit. It's fucking because Flair rolls to the outside of his own volition, stands up, and then fucking flops. Okay. He's such a cartoon. But before that, okay.
I think I know what you're about to mention.
Yeah. So in between Flair, as you brilliantly pointed out, like doing this great, like he gets like the quick turnaround on playing possum, hits the reversal, gets like the super quick eye poke that the Bret cannot even catch. In the middle of that all, Bret like I'm trying to remember like what position they were in. Bret like he's Bret's like holding on to, like they're doing the thing where Bret's down on the ground, but he's got his legs.
He's like trying to bring Flair down, and Flair's like, "Whoa, I can't fall."
Whoa. Flair travels with it, so Bret fucking grabs Flair's trunks and pulls him down so we see his full ass.
We got full Ric Flair ass on the hard cam.
Why am I looking at his ass? Oh God! Oh no! WWF After Dark.
Another Ric Flair classic, him showing his ass.
Why was I looking at his ass, Austin? I did not consent to this.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh no.
So yeah, I was like, what the fuck? And even the commentary is like, well, I guess we gotta be X-rated now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, commentary is like, welcome to WWE X.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with this.
Oh my God.
So Bret is just kind of working down Ric Flair's arm, but Rick is working down that knee because he's got to set up for the figure 4.
Yeah, except fucking
Bret gets one first.
Bret hits the figure 4 on Flair for the disrespect. Also, like, I love how the figure 4 can work both as a submission and a pin. Like, you get
because the guy taking the move like lays down on his back.
Man,
the ref starts going 1, 2.
What the fuck are wrestling rules? Why the fuck does that? Why is that counted as?
How does that constitute a pin?
Yeah, because like by that logic, you could just knock a dude down and have him just laying down in his back, and the ref should start counting before you like actually go for the pin.
Well, I guess some part of Bret is theoretically on top of Rick.
Okay, sure. Fucking wrestling rules, dude.
Yeah, but Rick gets to the ropes to escape the figure 4.
Yes,
Rick gets back on top, but then Bret counters to a backslide pin. Cool shit happening here.
Yes.
Flair, like in the later rounds, he's limping now. He's limping from that knee. And Bret
he does this thing where after he gets out of the figure 4, Bret's still like kind of laying down. So he fucking like pulls his knee pad down and like fucking drops his knee onto Bret's head. Which Gorilla Monsoon calls I think that was the Excedrin headache number 35, Alfred, which Lord Hayes thought was the funniest thing he's ever heard.
That was so funny.
Except he also it fucks up his knee further. Like he kind of hits Bret, although it doesn't look terribly convincing. They don't do a great shot. They don't do a great job at hiding that Bret very much rolls out of the way of this, so his head doesn't actually get smashed by Ric Flair's knee. But like Ric Flair's knee gets fucked by this too, so he's limping even more.
He goes,
so they're like, and commentator's like, yeah, you kind of like fuck yourself there, buddy. Like he just.
In the weirdest red herring of the match, while both men are down on the ground, Mr. Perfect like walks over and like mimes taking something out of his pocket as if he's about to like hand something off to Flair, but he doesn't succeed at it and it never comes up again.
Kurt Hennig's attempt at interference in this match are random and nonsensical because I make a note of that at the end too.
Yeah, so Bret gets thrown to a corner and then chopped into a pin. It's the 2 count. Flair gets pissy about the 2 count. The ref, and while he's whining to the ref, Bret rolls him up for 2. Also, cool sequence, but then Ric Flair, he gets in the figure 4.
Yeah. I want to shout out the fact that like during that sequence, Gorilla Monsoon makes a comment about how he's very happy he retired before the meta got too evolved. Essentially, he's like, I'm glad I retired before I had to deal with all these fucking moves.
Yeah, Gorilla's happy to be gone from the biz here. Bret rolls over the figure 4, which is so fascinating also because like if you do that and this is legit too, if you actually do a figure 4 on somebody, if you roll over, the pressure goes to the person who put on the move. Like the pressure reverses for who is getting hurt. But Bret also rolled all the way into the ropes, so the whole thing kind of has to be let go.
Yes. While he has Bret locked in, Gorilla's doing another one of his like explanations of the exact anatomical part of you that is being injured.
I missed the anatomical reference.
It was something. It was the discus lemniscus babiscus. I don't fucking know. He lists off a bunch of technical terms, and Lord Alfred's just like
something that's probably legit, but also really dorky.
Yeah, and Lord Alfred's just like, yes,
sure. I don't know enough. I don't know enough to dispute this.
He's just kind of like, He's like, yes, of course, obviously, Gorilla. You're Gorilla out here. I swear to God, this man had a degree in human anatomy. What the fuck? But then, holy shit, Flair tries to go for the sharpshooter for the disrespect.
I kind of missed this because I was looking up Lloyd's of London stuff. I missed.
Flair tries to go for the sharpshooter but Bret like counters it to go for a roll up. That's like 1-2 break.
Yeah, whatever. So they are back and forth. strike after strike, hold for hold. Really awesome, crazy shit happening. Brett hits
Dude,
a lot
what
of
the
his
fuck are the punching rules in wrestling? Because I swear to God, fucking God, these men are just punching each other.
The rules are no closed fists, which
But
is a very loose definition of like what is an open fist.
But you have fucking Orange Cassidy in the year of our Lord 2023, who the orange punch is a closed fist. Fuck you.
Doesn't have.
Fuck off. Fuck all the way out of here. These men are just punching each other in the face. They're not even doing elbows. They are just punching each other.
Yeah. So Brett hits a lot of his big moves. And Gorilla and Hayes are like, why is he not going for the sharpshooter?
I know, fucking Gorilla Monsoon is out here like he doesn't understand why this new generation of wrestlers has to do all this fucking spot monkeying
bullshit. And so
I know. Also, wait, there's a sequence like Flair's on the top rope and Brett like goes to like grab him to throw him off, and we get a shot. Brett
did I miss that one? My bad.
Yeah, Brett just grabs Flair's entire asshole, and we get a shot of him just digging his hand right into Flair's entire asshole.
That is one of Ric Flair's signature maneuvers: is go to the top rope, get thrown off,
and have someone grasp his ass. You know, maybe he just really liked.
Have I ever explained why that he does that? Because that's kind of a big meme in itself.
No,
like Ric Flair always goes to the top rope and never wins with it, except one time he did. The very first time he won the world title from Harley Race, he did it with a top rope move. So in the canon of it all, every time Ric Flair goes to the top rope and fails, he is just trying to recreate the moment that won him the world title.
Which world title was this? NWA
the original NWA title. The first time he won the NWA title.
That's hilarious. So this literally, my man is just doing a fucking nostalgia trip. He got a complete fluke win off the top rope,
and he has decided I have to try that every time and never succeed at it ever again.
That's gotta break a man's spirit after a time, man. Brett, after throwing him, Bret Hart hits Ric Flair with the people's elbow. He drops an elbow on him.
All right. The middle.
See, to me, I was like, this looks like a less goofy version of the people's elbow. He drops in the same way, and then a reverse neck breaker, and then a fucking back breaker over the knee. Drops the elbow again from like the middle rope, and this is when Gorilla Monsoon grumbles about these fucking young men, these young guys, and their goddamn spot monkeying. And then the sharpshooter.
Well, before we get to that, there's a thing I want to kind of bring up is that Flair goes begging, please don't hit me. And then he reverses it on Brett and then starts chopping him, and Brett sells him. He pulls the straps down and just starts selling the chop.
That was so metal, dude. He's like, you want to fucking chop? Do it, bitch. Oh my God, that was so cool.
I personally kind of read into this match. There's this kind of almost an undercurrent to this match of like Bret Hart isn't playing into Ric Flair's bullshit.
Yeah. Well, it's because they talk in the beginning about how like the big difference between them is how just ostentatious Flair is.
Yeah, and Bret is all business. Mm-hmm. And he is all business in this match. He is not going to play into whatever Ric Flair's bullshit is today. And so he puts Flair up on the top rope, superplex, and then a sharpshooter for the win.
Yeah, what fucking Hennig gets up on the rope to try to like cheat,
and the ref is just like, Hebner, fuck you, get out.
Hebner immediately catches him and is like, get the fuck out, and he's like, okay. Like,
okay, I guess I
will.
The
most useless fucking heel consort you can have in the form of Kurt Hennig. Okay.
Yeah, and then Flair surrenders because this is before tap outs were a common feature in wrestling.
Yeah, so, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, that was majorly popularized by Taz and ECW, who stole it from UFC. Like that became like
Really?
basically MMA kind of popularized the idea of like tapping out like doing a physical motion like that, and then wrestling followed suit. So if you look at these older matches, it's like either they pass out or they verbally surrender.
Oh my god. That's so wild that Taz helped bring that. I just assumed it was always a thing. Holy shit.
Now that came with the rise of MMA, that particular
That's
facet.
fucking wild.
But
also,
Bret, in the hometown of his daddy, has become the champion.
The feel-good dub, and the crowd loses its goddamn mind. There's this great like thing at like when Bret's making his entrance, we just get a close-up of like a random girl in the crowd who's just like happy that Bret's making his entrance. And then we cut back to her after Bret gets the dub, only to realize, oh shit, she's the like lucky crowd kid who got Bret's sunglasses. So like, cute little wholesome like planning and payoff, even if it probably wasn't intentional. But still, yeah, sick fucking match, dude. Holy shit. And we cut back to Gorilla Monsoon with Bret, and he's like, yeah, that was a fucking awesome match. You're so good.
Yeah.
I was so right to coin. He's so in the tank for Bret, and he's absolutely objectively fucking correct for being so in the tank for Bret Hart.
Absolutely.
And Bret, fucking justifying my calling the elbow drop he did the people's elbow, because Bret fucking calls himself the people's champion. And
somewhere Rocky Maivia is like, the fuck did you just say?
I feel a disturbance in the force.
I think he might still be. I think Rock would have still been in college with the U at that point, actually.
He might have been.
Anyway, we cut back to the house finally. Alfred has been revived. He did not die.
Yeah.
Butch did a hell of a
CPR.
Again. And also now there's just a huge hole in the ceiling.
For some reason.
They're gonna do some plumbing. And remember, kids, the first step is safety first.
They're like, of course they're like, hey, Al, stand directly under this pipe that we're going to be working on. And Lord Alfred, for some reason, obliges. And you know what? Whatever happens to him at this point, that's just his own fault. He should know better. He should know better. You know, I don't want to ever victim blame, but like, come on.
Butch starts loosening the pipes to this place because they're going to try to set up a bathroom or something.
And the best part is, as soon as I like fully registered like the bit they're about to do, I clicked pause to write a note about it. And right as I click pause, it's like the water's coming down. I click pause right as the water's coming down, and like the millisecond before it hits Lord Alfred's face. Like I got the perfect shot of like images that occur right before disaster.
Yeah. So he gets splashed with water from the pipe, and amazes somehow a fish. Butch finds a fish, and even he is like, where did that fish come from? And then he starts licking the fish as we cut to the final match.
Man, between shit like this and between Lord Alfred being like tied up and abused by Sherry Martel and the Brooklyn Brawler, it's an absolute wonder. And like, you know, all the shit he had to endure during like
Tuesday Night Titans, they made
body slams. It's a wonder that like half this roster didn't get their asses sued by Lord Alfred.
The butt monkey of the WWF.
He could have sued all these motherfuckers. He could have sued the pants off all these motherfuckers for a bigger payout than anything Vince would give him. Or sorry, anything Jack Tunney would give him.
Of course. The final match of this show is Razor Ramon versus The Undertaker.
Yes, they're really harping on the fact that Razor Ramon is the self-titled bad guy. Sorry, no, it's pronounced Badgie. You know, I'm the Badgie. Never mind.
I'm a bad guy. No.
It's pronounced Badgie.
Yeah. Also, my first note was, where the hell is Beaumont, Texas, apparently.
Hey, I get that reference.
It's about time I bring the references here.
Beaumont? Where the hell is
Beaumont?
I've actually never seen Footloose.
That was the first community theater show I saw before I started doing community theater.
Well,
Myself
look
was
at that.
like I saw a production of Footloose.
What a cultured boy. Yeah, and that shit sticks with you forever.
Yeah.
Also, I noticed as Undertaker's making his entrance. So I noted fucking last episode, no, 2 episodes ago, during the Brawl for All, people had like fucking foam finger hands, except the hands were just like the DX logo. Here, people have foam hands that are just the fucking urn. What is with the fucking foam hands that WWF sells, dude? Why can they never be hands? Why are people wearing foam urn hands?
No, fuck that. Gotta be weird and quirky.
Yes.
Alfred Hayes, excuse me. Jesus, thank God Michael Hayes isn't anywhere near this show. But Alfred Hayes talks about The Undertaker always smelling like formaldehyde, which also shouts out to me for spelling that right on a first try in my notes.
Well, look at you.
But then Gorilla Monsoon pipes in about how Bobby Heenan always smells like mothballs.
Because I remember fucking last time we watched the
absolutely out of pocket shot at Bobby Heenan.
Yeah, well, because it cracked me up. Because first, I think it was, I can't remember. It was the last when we did fucking Paul Bearer's Tales from the Crypt. Whoever the fuck was on commentary was like, also point out like, I fucking hate the Undertaker. He always smells like formaldehyde. There was that, yeah, and then fucking.
Oh yeah, Johnny Polo was.
Yeah, Johnny Polo fucking is like, that bitch always smells like formaldehyde. I want to kill him. And then yeah, Monsoon just buries the shit out of Heenan. Like, yeah, that motherfucker. We want to talk about people who smell. Oh my god.
This match is honestly like Razor Ramon gets his ass kicked. The match.
I know this man. He was selling. He gets
moments, but for the most part, it is the Undertaker doing the Undertaker thing.
Oh, I know.
No sell, just kind of whoop your ass.
I know. He does the fucking top rope jump, and Razor like fucking. He flips and rolls and bounces into the ropes and falls back down again. He is selling that. He is persistently he is coming to your doorstep and saying, "Can I sell this to you, please?"
Mm-hmm. This Undertaker is so fascinating because like there's this element of like horror movie slasher monster to how the Undertaker acts as a wrestler. I think there's this sense of like nothing you do can take this guy down.
It's
like
very Michael Myers, yes.
Yeah, and yet he is a babyface now.
Oh, he is the faciest of faces. People are losing their minds for him.
He turned face within like this is actually pretty recent now that I think about it, because he was still a heel during the match made in heaven. No, okay, he turned heel pretty soon, late into 91, after about a year of being a heel. Like he turned babyface. Yeah. And so like it's such an interesting, like the fact they keep this element to his character.
Because they have to. That's what got him over in the first place. Because I feel like this is one of those like he just had to turn heel because he was so popular. They couldn't keep him evil.
Yeah, he's objectively kind of a cool character.
Yeah, and everyone loved it. Like, again, I said this fucking during Paul Bearer's Tales from the Crypt. I'll say it again. The Undertaker should not be one of the most popular wrestlers of all time. He is a fucking, his gimmick is just as dumb new generation as fucking Knuckleball Schwartz, but because Mark Kelly is a freak of nature, and because the setup spot is cool, all of a sudden, like, even people who don't know what the fuck, like a damn thing about wrestling have heard about The Undertaker.
Yeah,
it's so goofy, but it worked.
My man Mark Callis was an extremely loyal company man, and he was able to kind of like keep the gimmick fresh enough to get through the Attitude Era. And then he takes the year. Then he goes and does his dumb biker shit.
The dumb biker shit.
And then by 04, now you're like a nostalgia act that you can just keep
except
going.
he's still like the coolest nostalgia act ever.
He is. He is the coolest nostalgia act ever.
Yeah, he becomes a nostalgia act by 04, and it takes what, another fucking 10 years for him to lose the streak?
Yeah. And it takes another few years for the wheels to fall off as an in-ring wrestler for the dead for Undertaker.
Yeah, literally. What? It was, I think, yeah, it was like 2017, like, was his match with Roman, which was kind of like his last
16 and his matches with Brock in 2015 are pretty much universally considered like the last good Undertaker matches.
Yeah. But like, was it the match with Brock, or was it the matches with Roman where like he didn't do the sit-up spot, where like he tried to sit up but then he fell
His
back?
match with Roman was when he didn't do the sit-up, because part of the story was like the idea of the story is Roman is putting down Old Yeller right now. Is the kind of the which is hilarious for a character that wouldn't retire for 3 more years.
Yeah, but what the fuck else did he do in ring after that?
He had a 2-minute squash with John Cena at WrestleMania 38.
Wait, who squashed whom?
He squashed Cena at WrestleMania 34.
Oh, amazing.
At 35, I don't think he wrestled, actually. Now, hold on, because, like, I watched that. Surely he wrestled at WrestleMania 35. Like, that's a long run. That would have been, like, the first time in 19 years he hadn't had a match at WrestleMania. Hold on. I'm out. Need to review the match card. He didn't.
Oh,
what the hell? All right. So 34 with Cena, and then 36 in the pandemic. He was going to do a match with AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
The fuck?
And then the pandemic hit, and they turned it into like a pre-tape match thing that was honestly pretty fucking sick.
Oh.
So he only had like one real match after Roman. Oh, no, I think he had a couple Saudi Arabia matches in between there.
Oh, of course. Saudi Arabia is where all shit
He nearly died. Bad. He nearly died fighting Goldberg.
Anyway,
fun times. But
yes.
But basically the story in the Roman match was like, you're an old man and I am going to put you down.
I'm going to euthanize you personally.
Which of course is so great for building up babyface Roman Reigns, of course.
Yeah, we're still trying to make him a face. And everyone hates him, but we're still
weird times. Anyway,
yeah.
Basically, point being, Undertaker. No, most people wouldn't survive doing this Undertaker shtick for 30 years.
Yes.
And yet here he did.
And this fucking match, toward the end, the Razor Ramon does kind of get his spots, but it's to just knock Taker down, and Taker just sits right the fuck back up again. It's like a goddamn comedy bit. Like, yeah, Razor's Ramon just like, why won't you die?
Razor Ramon hit 6 straight elbow drops. And
I know, and he still sits up.
Well, what happens is Paul Bearer jumps on the apron. Razor grabs the urn, and when he grabs the urn, Taker sits right up.
He grabs the urn, Taker sits right up. He beans Taker in the face with the urn, and Taker still manages to survive it.
Well, this is more of like Razor's fault, because he hits him with the urn, and then Razor takes a solid 30 seconds to just gloat.
Yeah. I was like, wait, is Razor actually going to get this dub? And then I was like, oh no, he's spending way too much time hot dog and ripperoni. Also a little earlier in the match, I just want to point this out. Paul Bearer continues to be the greatest ham of all time. We just get this great shot of him going like, oh yeah! Like, he's got the goofiest face. I love him. So like, after Razor spends too much time hot dogging and Taker like kicks out of his attempt at pinning him, Razor just bitch quits the match. Like, he just leaves
and takes a count.
What a fucking anticlimax of this tape, dude. Holy shit.
Scott Hall said, I am not getting pinned tonight, brother.
That ain't gonna work for me. Yeah, we had the fucking 4-star banger, 4.5-star banger, I'll call it, of Bret versus Flair. And then we end with this Razor Ramon versus Taker match. This is just Taker beating up on Razor Ramon and then Razor Ramon quitting when he realizes he's just not going to win. No fucking sense of pacing. Why is this the match that we go out on? How fucking lame. God, why is this match here?
So weird that like this tape is so clearly built around the Bret Hart stuff.
I know.
I get we have to do an ending bit for the house crap, but they can't even have the last matches be
any good.
Be Bret's matches.
Yeah.
So we're back at the house. Alfred is in like a blanket and he is like sneezing and coughing.
Yeah.
And the Bushwhackers seem to feel genuinely bad. And so they sit him down in this nice comfy chair and they're like, we got a special treat for you. Is they're going to sit him down and get a big TV and let Alfred Hayes watch all of his favorite Coliseum home video.
Oh no. Even worse than any of the OSHA violations committed today, they're getting meta.
And so the Bushwhackers, first of all, when they sit him down in the chair and they got to go fetch the TV and a TV stand, they march to the other side of the room and they get the TV. And then they're like, we're going to go get some snacks, get some popcorn, get some soda. We're going to get some popcorn. And then Alfred Hayes is like, no sardine sandwiches. It feels like an inside joke. I don't know.
I have no idea.
They're like, oh, okay, all right, no sardines. All right. And then they leave, and then Alfred Hayes is like, well, I guess I'm just going to sit here and watch my favorite matches. And I learned today that don't bring the Bushwhackers around when they're doing home improvement. All right.
What an ending. Why? That was so goofy. This definitely was one of the better ones. That we had two insane banger matches and like the framing device was like, it was charming and fun. It was fucking stupid and not funny on its own terms.
I lost my patience with it. It's just, I've realized I can only stand so much Bushwhacker. I always thought myself as a bit of a Bushwhacker apologist in a world of wrestling smarks that are largely kind of, these guys are stupid shit.
Because I will say, I did notice in the final scene, like getting really up close to their faces, man, both of their foreheads just have giant patches of blading scars. They must have been real relief. You know what? I'm going to say they earned their chance to just be goofy clowns in the Fed as like, spend the last end of their career before retirement, just kind of like vibing out and doing dumb, goofy comedy bullshit. They earned it.
Oh, and I've always been like, I like the Bushwhackers actually. And I realized that perhaps I do like the Bushwhackers in a maximum of 5 minutes.
There is sometimes food. Best in moderation.
The Bushwhackers.
I didn't hate this shit. I thought it was charming enough. It was stupid, but like we got it in small enough chunks, and like the attempts at comedy were so earnest that I can't hate it.
Mm-hmm. I in an ironic way liked cooking for the single man.
I thought that was also great.
And then we had a couple of good matches. And then, well, I guess the rest also happened.
I guess. I mean,
at least none of them were too long. But yeah, we have finished our journey through the Coliseum Home Video Library.
Yay! It was a wild ride, to be sure. I'm glad we ended it on a pretty decent note, though.
I agree. You've had a lot of ups, had a lot of downs.
Yes.
It's been fun to kind of explore these tapes.
It was an interesting little like tidbit of just like, again, I was memeing about this in the front half, but yeah, like what was it like to like have to fucking scrounge out Fed VHSs from Coliseum back in the day to like watch shit? It was such a different landscape. It was a cool little exploration of that.
Mm-hmm. And so, but this has been a fun diversion from some of our usual formatting here, but I think it's time to go back to something a little bit more traditional for this for this section of our schedule. So what are we replacing this in the calendar is it's time for us. I think it's time. We're going to go to 1990 for this one. And I think it is time for a challenge. I think it's time for the ultimate challenge
The what?
at WrestleMania 6.
Ooh.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Oh no, it's
It
a
is
Hogan arc.
the Hulkster dude
Oh, no.
versus Speak to Me, My Warriors, the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh
Hulk
no.
Hogan versus the Ultimate
No.
Warrior.
No, Austin, no. No. There's going to be so much rope shaking. There's going to be so much cocaine.
I had to do so much work to make this arc possible, and I will say more about that in the upcoming. But yes, next when we come back to the 80s and 90s, we will be returning. We will be starting up the road to Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania
God.
6.
That sounds like it's going to be deeply unhinged and of questionable quality.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh no.
This is all just a precursor so we can do the WCW version, which is even more unhinged and of even
no
quality.
No, it's a fucking two-parter.
We're gonna spend a solid year just having to watch Hogan Warrior in there.
Stuck with Hogan and the Warrior. Oh God. Oh no.
But that is for the future. For next time, we simply will return to Lucha Underground once again for season 2, episode 5.
Oh.
As we continue the journey of the darkness has befallen the temple, but we got Rey Mysterio, and we got Phoenix, and we got undercover cops, and we got time travel. So
shit's normal show.
Very normal wrestling show.
Absolutely.
Until then, David, hit our plugs.
Yes, sir. Dear friends, thank you all so much for joining us on yet another episode of the Noobs and Knockouts Podcast. We are delighted to have you join us for our show. Returning listeners, viewers, what have you, you know the drill. Thank you so much for once again welcoming us back into your eardrums, your eyeballs, whatever it is you use to consume our content. We're just so happy to have you here. New people, hey, hi, how's it going? Thank you so much for being here. We here at the Noobs and Knockouts Podcast like to think we are friendly to both noobs and knockouts alike. So whether you're brand new to the wild, wacky world of wrestling or you're a veteran of the discourse, either way, we are so delighted to have you here. Hope you had a great time. Hope everything was nice and accessible to you. We hope you want to keep coming back and having a great time with us. And I'm going to tell you every single way you can keep coming back to have a great time with us. Obviously, you're going to be using one of those to listen to us right now, but I'm going to hook you up with all of them, baby. So first of all, of course, you can find us on YouTube. We are the Noobs and Knockouts Podcast on YouTube. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, make sure it turns a nice little solid color so you get notifications every single time we drop a brand new episode. Give us that sweet comment and engagement helps us out a lot. Check out our playlist. Austin has been kind enough to organize all of the arcs that we follow into their own separate playlists so you can follow something all the way down without having to skip around a whole lot. It's great. And of course, you can see our lovely faces and our beautiful little HUD that Austin set up for us and all the little visual gags that we hide in here, us doing our best to imitate Paul Bearer faces and whatever the fuck else, either way, yes, Bushwhacker marching, another very important pound on those invisible bongos, kids. Either way, join us on the YouTube Noobs and Knockouts Podcast. But of course, if you are a fan of the audio only experience, we understand and we have you covered there as well. You can find us on 3 of the best places to find your podcast, which would be Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Come give us a listen, download the show. Give us maybe a nice little 5-star rating if you're so inclined and a review that says, hey, these guys are pretty cool. Maybe more people should check them out. I don't know. I'm just saying, give us that, any sort of engagement, whether listening, downloading, reviewing, etc. helps us so much. Noobs and Knockouts Podcast on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Of course, on top of that, we exist outside the little boxy void of our podcast space. We got a little bit of social media going. First and foremost, of course, you can find us on Twitter at Noobs and KnoxPod. That's at Noobs, the letter N, KnoxPod on Twitter. We're hanging out there. We post memes. We engage in discourse. We put up a post every single time we drop a brand new episode, so you guys always know what the hell's going on. Highlight of our Twitter, of course, is weekly wrestling live tweeting. I've kind of been behind recently because I'm in rehearsals and Austin's watching other shit. But at least in theory, as many Wednesday nights as we can on TBS at 8 p.m. Eastern time, we are watching AEW Dynamite and tweeting all about that. And then if I especially have like extra time and I'm not a zillion episodes behind, at 10 p.m. Eastern on Friday nights, on TNT, we are watching what else? AEW Rampage. It is the show that y'all been waiting on.
It's the show that y'all been waiting on to watch.
To watch, indeed. I've been waiting on watching like the past 4 iterations of it. Woof. But yes, we like to post all about that shit. I've been kind of taking the reins recently. Austin does his thing too when he can. On top of that, of course, Austin is a steadfast. He's steadfast in keeping at least up a little bit with all of the companies, all the major companies and their pay-per-views. Sometimes they'll even tweet about it, and we just kind of like to tell you guys about it because the pay-per-views are great jumping on points. So, my friend, what is on the docket coming up?
Sure, for Impact Wrestling, on March 24th. Hey, that is this Friday.
Oh my.
Oh my. No. That they're having Impact Wrestling Sacrifice.
The spells disaster for you.
It does spell disaster for some people, I'm sure.
Indeed.
That is on Impact Plus. That is their, that's their streaming service, but I believe also YouTube membership would for premium will also get you
that's accessible
on the hook up there. Then ever WWE, April 1st and April 2nd, it's coming. WrestleMania goes Hollywood.
Hollywood Hulk Hogan? Maybe, mayhaps.
I would, if he shows up, I swear to Christ.
Damn.
But we got some banger matches coming up on this show, really. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes.
Yes, adrenaline in my soul.
Gunther versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus for the IC title.
That's wild.
Austin Theory versus John Cena for the US title.
Yeah, that shit. I saw like the fucking promo that Cena cut on Theory. What the fuck is happening?
Austin Theory is either going to get really jabronied or he's about to beat John Cena.
He's about to put old man John out to pasture.
I think he's about to put old man John out to pasture.
Yo, that would actually be kind of fucking sick.
Edge versus Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell match.
Heck in a sec? Ooh.
In a heck in a sec, indeed. It feels like Dom is going to fight Ray.
Yeah, but they
haven't done that official yet.
Yeah.
But it feels like that's what's going to happen.
It feels like it should happen, right? Like
he keeps telling Ray how shitty of a father he is.
Yeah. This match has to happen, right? But also, like, I feel like if you're going to do that, that has to be, like, Rey Mysterio's retirement, right?
Yeah, that feels like that should be his retirement. And he is going in the Hall of Fame.
He is going in the Hall of Fame. Is something
It's all cooked. It's all coming together.
Yum, yum.
We shall see. And then for AEW, their next pay-per-view is all the way in May 28th. At Double or Nothing.
And they just fucking announced Forbidden Door 2. Mercedes Moné maybe finally gonna show up in an AEW.
That honestly, that would require her to hold the belt all the way till June 25th. I honestly kind of didn't think she would. So
I don't know.
We'll see. Now that that's on the table, maybe she's gonna make a pit stop in Canada.
That would be, dude. I'll laugh so hard either way. I will laugh if he does show up because, like, we all got suckered into thinking it was gonna happen earlier, and it just like took longer. And I'll laugh if she doesn't because, like, we just keep getting teased with the idea, and it just keeps not happening.
All wrestling fans across all companies are like, "This is when Sasha comes, right?"
Right?
WWE was doing it. AEW fans did it. Now let's do it for AEW X NJPW. Is be like, this is when Mercedes comes, right?
Right? Damn, they're just gonna keep cock teasing on this on us forever. I honestly, I'll laugh if it never happens. I will find it deeply funny.
Yeah, it probably would be. But yeah,
Yes.
that is what is coming up on the clock.
Ooh, a lot of good stuff, friends. Yeah, if you're a noob, especially, check out some fucking pay-per-views, man. What a great jumping off point. And hey, WrestleMania weekend, man. Let me tell you, the indie shows we got going on around WrestleMania
next week
weekend.
next week is our last show before WrestleMania weekend, right?
Yes, it should be.
Yeah, so next weekend I will resolve to having a list of all the indie shows so we can specifically talk those up.
For sure, Effie's Big Gay Brunch is happening again. There's so many good fucking pay-per-views to check out, guys. And just on top of that, following our Twitter, if you like, for some reason, listening to us ramble about wrestling for multiple hours on end, don't know why you would, but if you do, you have.
Who else out there is covering Smack 'em Whack 'em and WWF World Tour?
True. We are truly doing the Lord's work, Austin, in terms of wrestling media review.
Only
all right, nobody dares.
Only on this podcast can we go from Royal Rumble 2014 to Smack 'em Whack 'em across 2 episodes.
Nobody fucking dares tread on our ground. We are the undisputed kings of this whole trade. Yeah, no, but either way, the voices carry over, I think, pretty well on the Twitter, So if you like our commentary here, you'll probably like it there too. So give us a follow on the Twitter at Noobs and Knockouts Pod. Of course, if you want to get in super direct contact with us and maybe even some long form contact, you can email us at noobsandknockoutspod@gmail.com. That's noobs, the word and this time, knockoutspod@gmail.com. Come say hi to us. Tell us what you think about the show. Request things you want to see us cover on the show. Tell us how based and red pill our hot takes are, how fucking dumb you think it is. Whatever it may be, start discourse. Just generally say hi. We love people saying hi. We would love to say hi back. Noobs and knockoutspod@gmail.com. And of course, finally, if you want to support the show, maybe a little more of a monetary sense, you can find us on Patreon. The link for it is in our Twitter. We are also the Noobs and Knockouts podcast on Patreon. $1 a month gets you early access to episodes and a shout out at the end of each episode. Shout out to, of course, who else? The Sugar Daddy, Kyle Smith, for his support of the show. Enjoy your perks, buddy. Thank you so much. If you want to hop on with our boy Kyle, enjoy some of these perks. I mean, it's just a single bone. It helps out the show so much, guys. More than you would know. Means the world to us, and can help us chug toward a future where this show can be even slicker produced and all that good shit. So if you're feeling so inclined and you want some of those, perkerinos, Noobs and Knockouts Pod on Patreon, the link for that, once again, is in our Twitter.
See y'all next time.
Hasta luego.